break it all down for us. What will we see today? Where will it be won and lost?
I like the midfield. I look at Fremantle's team, and I was thinking about it driving into the game today, and they look quick now. I've never really known Fremantle to be a super quick team, but you look at Sarong, Schultz, Clark, Wilson, Henry, Young, Frederick, Switzkowski, did I say that right? Switzkowski? Let's call him Switzer or something for the rest of the day. They start looking like a really imposing and speedy team. They get the ball in the front half, and gee, they got some guys that can go to work now. So for me, I think the Saints backline are going to have their work cut out. If Fremantle can get the outside ball, which they loved doing at the second half of last year, it's going to be a really hard task for the Saints to keep up with them. And of course, we just mentioned the goal scoring power that's out for the Saints. So it's a big job for the midfield today, Sully, because if they let the Fremantle Dockers have 50 or 60 inside 50s, I think it's going to be a little bit tough for them.
And that's a challenge, isn't that? Midfield class for Fremantle, matching that and that testing the depth for St Kilda. How St Kilda kick their goals is going to be a question mark. And just seeing that ruck duo for Freo, how they mix and match the chemistry is going to be really important to get off on a strong start today for them.
Half-time in the other match, Hawthorn and Essendon, that is taking place at the moment. Essendon leading by 16 points, 8-5-53, plays 5-7-37. Earlier today, a big comeback for the GWS Giants. They came from well down in that contest against Adelaide and won by 16, so the same margin at full-time in that game as it is at half-time in the other. 15-16, 106, the Giants defeating the Crows 12-18-80. So a win first up for Adam Kingsley at GWS. They were getting pummeled early on, Maisie, but were able to find a way back into the contest.
Over 5 goals down, and mark of the year is done. Harry Himmelberg, his specky in the first goal there was extraordinary.
He just lingered there, didn't he?
Yeah,
he got like
he
a
hung.
sit, and then he had a second pause where he was just up there. It was like he was posing for a photo. It was unbelievable, actually.
And he was up on O'Brien as well, so that's a fair leap.
There was we're just watching a bit of the screen. There was a good hit too by, who was that? McAdam. Really good hit. I'm not sure who he got, but he you could see the sweat come off his head when he got hit.
He might be sitting on the sidelines for a couple of weeks.
Well, it wasn't high, was it? Was it high?
I don't think he came back on after that.
Well, so it just depends if he comes back on or not.
It's a big factor.
So if you win someone and break a rib and they don't come back on, that's 2 weeks automatically, you're thinking?
Nah, I think it's more the head.
Yeah, I'm not sure that was high. We only said it just really quickly.
Well, and the interesting one will be Cozzy and Bailey Smith from last night as well. How many he gets there. There's going to be a few interesting test cases. The fifth member of our team is downstairs, Jess Webster. You heard her earlier in the interview with Justin Longmuir, and with us again. Jess.
G'day, Ben. Great to be here. It's certainly better conditions under the roof this afternoon than yesterday's 36 degrees in Melbourne, so I'm certainly happy about that. Just a decent crowd building at the moment, a small scattering of fans in the top tier, which is good to see. Now, it's a big opportunity for Fremantle today against a depleted Saints side. But they're also pretty handy on the road. They won 7 games interstate last year, the equal best of any side. So a big contest awaits this afternoon. Looking forward to watching it all unfold at ground level.
Thank you, Jess. St Kilda in their predominantly black jumper with the 3 panels on the front, the black shorts at their home game. The Fremantle Dockers in their white with the purple chevrons and the white shorts. One of your former teammates, Boomer, Peter Bell, 1 metre Peter, the GM of football, just carrying off the jump bag. Ready to go for this match here today.
Sorry, that was a ripper. The old 2 metre Peter and then 1 metre Peter. I haven't heard that one before. It's fantastic.
Where are we headed? I'll look him eye to eye. Where are we headed? Who are your tips tonight?
I'm going to go with Fremantle. I think this is probably the certainty of the round. I'd love for St Kilda to come out and prove me wrong because it means it's going to be a great game. But Fremantle pretty comfortably, probably 4 or 5 goals for me.
Echo that. Big ask for Saints, Freo, quite easily.
What about you, Maisie?
Yeah, I think Freo comfortably enough today. Comfortably enough.
They should be winning against a St Kilda side, as we've mentioned, that are missing 9 of their best 23 to start season 2023. Ross Lyon, can he return and enact some revenge on the club that sacked him 3 years ago? It's Fremantle and St Kilda from the Docklands to round out round 1. You're with Andrew Mays.
Darcy and Marshall with the ruck duties for their respective teams. It is Darcy who leaps high and won it down immediately. Brodie was there, couldn't gather the ball. Off the back of the circle, Brayshaw scrubs the ball forward. And the mark taken by Wangini Miller, who goes very short by Tell, who takes it. just backward of centre wing, was looking to draw the man on the mark. Sold Sinclair into all sorts of pressure. He's tackled immediately. Ball locked up. Just forward of centre wing for the Dockers. Not a great hand pass.
Got to get that ball forward, don't you? You just have to get that ball forward.
So Darcy and Marshall right beneath us on the wing. Hey, Schlick hands to Brody. He's wrapped up immediately. He's carried out of play. Jack Steele. He takes him out. The Saints skipper with short hairdo. It's even harder heading into season 2023. Reminder, you can text us today, 0437 774 774. Umpire spins it back in. Darcy takes it out of the ruck. Snaps the Dockers to half forward. Through the hands of Frederick. Jackson flicks it back to Freddie. Time to steady. Kicks the goal. A fast start for Freo through Michael Frederick. The first goal of this match after 69 seconds. They're one straight six. Fremantle, that's Fremantle. St Kilda yet to score here on Grandstand AFL. Brent Harvey and Brad Saul.
Good pressure early, wasn't it? Nat 5 started the deepest forward for Freo, and Jackson sort of that mid forward, and as that ball surged in, Jackson's just quick, agile, first to react, clean gather, and quick hands off.
It's good to see him get involved really early. The mistake down here by the Saints player, Jack Bytel, he had two and he was trying to invent something. If it's not there, you've got to, early, especially early, Saul, you'd know this, you've just got to get the ball forward and just give them a chance. Just let the forwards compete. If they don't mark it, comes the ground, you can play that surge style of football, but you've got to get it in. So Jack Bytel on the boot.
He lost Wanganeen Miller there, Frederick, as well, so easily in that contest. His agility is something to behold. Meanwhile, back in the middle, Darcy slaps it out. Menz is able to get it for the Saints. He hand passes it to Marshall, who gets a tumbling ball into the middle. Now it's Clark off the back of the centre circles. Has Sarong outside of him. He turns it over, though. Sinclair takes the mark for the Saints, left half back. He goes long with his kick. Butler, it lands in front of him. Didn't quite set up for him on the first occasion. Gets it on the second bounce. Forced to kick on his left. Puts it high. No mark taken by Cordy, who's playing up forward there. It was over his head, and Young takes it in the right back pocket for the Dockers.
Young kicks short. Brennan Cox marks in the right back pocket here for the Dockers. Last game of round one. Cox sets it up towards the wing. Darcy and Jackson are there. Over their heads it goes. Out the back. Sinclair there for the Saints. Gathers on the wing. Handball to Crouch. He'll kick long. Inside attacking 50. Looking for a target. Over the head of Cordy. Out the back it goes. Ryan gets back for the Dockers. Able to mop up. Handball to Cox. Handball to Pearce. Back to Ryan. Gets it on the boot. Kicks beyond defensive 50 for the Dockers, but turns it over.
Mason Wood could almost wheel around and go here. He goes short instead, and that was a great option. Butler running into a bit of space. Takes the mark. 40 out. 45-degree angle to the right.
He's become a really good player, Mason Wood. He started just as a forward. Now he's got himself up in the wing. He's got a massive tank. He'd be really high up in there running at the Saints, I would think, as he was at North Melbourne. And he's actually got some great skills on him, Maisie. You mentioned he probably could have had a shot. He was only about 55, 60 out, but it was fantastic the way he lowered his eyes then.
So Fremantle with the opening goal through Frederick. Butler here, a chance to answer straight back after a couple of minutes. Crosses the paint of 50, kicks from 45, it's across the face, didn't quite have the distance, it's forced through for one behind. The Saints' first score of the season. They trail by 5 after 4 minutes in the opening term.
So Nathan Wilson with the kick in, just stabs it short. Mark taken by Young, who goes short again for Fremantle. Brayshaw getting on the end of it. The reigning AFL PA MVP. He'll arc around, run beyond the defensive 50 and kick long towards the wing, looking for Darcy. Big Duke's out in front, he gets a holding free kick. Ryan Marshall just impeding him, so the Dockers with it here on this dockside wing. Comes infield, dangerous kick, doesn't find his target. It's chopped off by Philippou. The debutant, or Owens rather, he takes the mark, feeds the handball, cruising by. Butler runs inside 50, fires on goal, Cox gets back. He marks on the last line. Takes it at fullback for the Dockers and goes short to Clark in the right back pocket. The Dockers lead by 5 points, 5 minutes into the first.
Clark holds, assesses his options and goes short again, still in the right back pocket. Brody has it now. And he goes back to Clark, who's just outside his defensive goal square. Switch of play on. Ryan's out, left half back. He goes very short himself to Hughes, who presents and takes it on his chest. Fremantle working this out nicely. Short kick from Hughes to Wilson. And Wilson's going to switch across half back again. It finds Ryan on the bounce. Luckily it was a good one. He gathered well. And flares it out further wide to Cox. Cox puts H under a bit of pressure. Sinclair, wonderful spoil with all the guts in the world. Burns had it. Hand passes to Hill. He goes inboard. Couple of boos from the Freo fans. And the mark is taken by his captain.
That was fantastic play by Sinclair, wasn't it? Made a lot of ground up, but went really hard at the football as well.
So Stocker kicks to the wing over the head of Philippou, who then gathers at ground level, gets a handball out. Owens able to corral it along the boundary line. Handball to Crouch. Now the Saints going forward through Steele. He'll arc around and kick long towards full forward. Looking for a target. Woods down there. Big pack forms. It spills down. Brayshaw just dumps it out of there. Kick towards the wing. There's a free kick. It'll come back. It'll go the way of the Dockers. It'll go to Brayshaw. So Brayshaw getting busy inside his defensive 50 already. Kicks laterally short. Clark marks. And then sends it to left half back where he finds Ryan.
Ryan short to Pearce. And he spins the ball a couple of times in his hands. Happy just to hold things up here for the Dockers. He can switch play if he wants. He goes short again, further out wide. Hughes has it. Couple of options inboard if he wants. Goes long instead. Frederick over his head. Mark wasn't taken there, and now Darcy's onto it. O'Meara with his first touch. Hand pass inboard is good to Brayshaw, who finds a bit of space. Heads inside 50. Tracy couldn't take the mark. Big pump though on Wanganeen Miller. And Frederick has it again. He hand passes to Brayshaw, who kept on running. Snaps inside. Mark should have been taken for the Saints. It wasn't. Jumping onto it was Schultz and snaps the goal. No, he doesn't. It's coming back for a free kick. And it's going the way of Battle, who was taken without it, and he'll have it in the right back pocket. Let's head downstairs, Jess.
A notable spectator in the back row of the umpires box down here at ground level. The big chief, Gil McLaughlin, has just come up from the race and taken his seat to enjoy some Sunday afternoon footy, boys.
Wood takes the mark on the wing, kicks inboard to Steele, who gives it off to Sinclair, streaming by his kick, chopped off by Ryan for the Dockers. Wins the footy, then goes short inboard. And the mark taken there by O'Meara at his new club. Finds Aish in the middle of the ground. Handball away to Taverner. Down this Dock wing, he kicks, it's smothered, well smothered by Marshall. Ricochets away. Aish gathers the footy, chips inside 50 for Freo. Brayshaw can't mark, keeps his feet, snaps into the pocket. Henry's out there, he'll mark just in the field of play. 45 metres out, hard up against the boundary line.
19 marks to the Dockers at the minute.
He sets it up towards full forward. Darcy can't quite claim it. Schultz comes through, gets a handball away. Battle able to gather the footy. He's dragged down. And we'll get a ball up 15 metres out from the attacking goal for the Dockers. They're one straight 6. St Kilda one behind. We've played 8.5 minutes.
Ball tossed up. Darcy won it down centrally, but Sinclair there for the Saints. He's able to kick a high footy across his right shoulder outside a defensive 50. No mark taken. Dockers with the numbers at ground level. Wilson, a swooping hand pass over the top to H, who puts it to the hot spot. Again, St Kilda are able to defend nicely. Now Schultz, quick hands there. Crouch, he goes further back. And now Wilkie flares it a little wider to the right back pocket, and Wood takes the mark. Presenting nicely to is Higgins, who takes it on the lead. He's still at right half back. Saints have just settled down here nicely.
So a long kick towards the logo. Philippou launching at it, has a bit of it. The mark's paid to the man in front, I think. It is. Caminiti gives it off quickly. The Saints move towards half forward. And able to take the mark, Marshall gives it off to Cordy running by on his left to the top of the goal square. And the mark is taken by Jade Gresham. 11 metres out from goal, just at the top of the goal square, and he'll go back and he should kick St Kilda's first.
Terrific transition, wasn't it? The Saints were very quick by hand to move the ball on. They found a spare player on the outside at both occasions, and slight fortuitous kick maybe just to clear that Fremantle defender.
Directly in front. Boot to ball from 15 metres out. Gresham comes in and pokes it through for the Saints first. They take the lead. They're 1-1-7. Fremantle 1 straight 6. We'll play 10 minutes in this opening term. Grandstand AFL. Brent Harvey, Brad Sewell, Andrew Mays and myself, Ben Cameron.
You mentioned the transition then, Sully. It was Jack Higgins who made the run from centre wing and gave the outlet to Mason Wood. He then turned, kicked it long, and it was a fantastic contested mark by Caminiti in his first game. And from there, that transition, we've seen Jay Gresham get the ball out in the back on his own. So fantastic transition, but well done, Jack Higgins. Fantastic work rate.
He's just dangerous, Gresham, when the time and space going forward, isn't he? He gets in behind you and just reads the flight of the ball so well.
Good to see him back for the Saints. Missed a lot of footy last year, and gee, did they miss his ability to buzz around the contest, especially in the midfield. Nice to see him back on the board with a major this afternoon. St Kilda by a point. Tossed up back in the middle. Clark comes through and then soccers to centre half forward. Follows up as well. His hand pass, though, is knocked away. Burns leaves it in the end. Hand pass well done by Philippou. Got it back to Burns, who kicks inside 50. Big punch away there. Nice work by Chapman. And it'll be a throw in. Inside attacking 50 here for the Saints. 1-1-7 plays one straight 6. St Kilda with a 1 point lead after 11 minutes in the opening term.
It was interesting to see Marshall not jump at that last centre bounce. He crosses the line and takes their space. Might be a tactic because he's playing against two really good ruckmen.
Darcy shoves him underneath it. Steele snaps the Saints towards full forward. Ryan there for the Dockers. Handball to Cox. Handball to Pearce. Pearce floats a left-footed kick towards half-back. And Hughes is there to mop up. Gives it to the run of Clark. He'll kick the Dockers towards the wing. Tracy gathers on the bounce. Handball to Brody. Handball to Switkowski. Now getting involved the Saints. There's a free kick. It'll go to Switkowski. He'll have it inside the centre square. Saints lead by a point. 1-1 plays one straight. 12 played opening term.
Goes to Chapman by hand and then further to right half back where Cox takes the mark. He goes to Wilson by foot. Wilson flares it out wide. Right on halfway. Mark taken in front of the interchange benches by Schultz. Bit of space up the line, so he runs the boundary line, then kicks just inside 50. Darcy's there, didn't get a run at it. And the opposing ruckman in Marshall takes the mark. Good defensive one for the big man.
Jackson third in line there. Marshall's in front. He should have punched the ball board to ground.
Marshall goes further defensively to Howard, and that's a good outlet kick. Mark taken by Philippou, who's just holding it for the time being, and then goes long to centre half forward. Caminiti almost from behind. Still brought the ball to ground. Clark, his kick smothered. Falls to Higgins, though. Has a flying shot towards goal, and bounces through. St Kilda with a couple early. 2-1-13. Fremantle 1 straight 6. We've played 10.5 minutes in the opening term.
Saints have looked good, haven't they? In transition, they've been dangerous. Freo just getting hamstrung a little bit, pinned down, trying to transition the ball through the middle part of the ground and at half forward. And the Saints on the rebound have looked dangerous.
Again, Caminiti, just a contest, nearly clunked it, but just a really good contest. And I tell you what they're doing. If for St Kilda to win this game, we mentioned the lack of goal-kicking power. The two guys that kick goals, I think one of them is going to have to kick a little bag today. And a little bag's only 3 or 4 from a small forward, but if they can both hit the scoreboard and spread the love there and maybe get 2 or 3 apiece, that's when St Kilda are going to be a dangerous team.
Jackson into the ruck for Fremantle. Jumps over the top of Marshall. Wins it down, but a clearing kick for the Saints by Clark. Tumbles it towards half forward. The Saints are there in numbers. Clark back on the end of it. Kicks a low ball. Bouncing towards goal. He's got the backspin. And it's carried over the line for the Dockers in the end by Brennan Cox. So another minor score for St Kilda. They're 2-2-14. Fremantle 1 straight 6. 14 minutes played opening term.
Short kick from the kick in from Cox. He goes straight up the middle, about 30 metres further up the field. Young takes it. The left footer will come out towards Taberner, although that's off the instep. That's going to go out of bounds. Not the best disposal there, but luckily Fremantle can reset from the boundary throw in between wing and half forward.
Mate, I was just about to say Fremantle get the ball in this guy's hands every single time because he is a beautiful kick.
So was I. I was thinking it. Toss back into play. Clark, he's able to scrubber it forward. Lovely clean hands from Henry. Hand pass backwards to Pearce, who gets through a tackle, then snaps up towards the wing. Doing well in that contest was Howard, able to knock it down, but Fremantle with the numbers. O'Meara to Sarong by hand, now Frederick, lovely agility again. He swerved out of one tackle, gave it to Schultz, who kicks inside 50. Much should have been taken by Treacy, didn't get near it in the end. And then Fife is able to apply a tackle, although it slips high, and Wilkie with the free kick for the Saints.
Wilkie goes short to Stocker. So Stocker in the left back pocket. Former Blue. PSS addition to this Saints list. Kicks towards the wing. Jackson goes with one hand. Can't take the mark. Caminiti caught holding the ball. So Jackson with that ground level recovery that is a part of his strength. He'll have the ball on the wing for the Dockers. He'll elect to go backwards of the logo. Mark taken by Cox, wants to switch it completely. Has Clark on the outer edge of the centre square. Saints leading by 8 points. Quarter of an hour into this first term. Clark goes short, away to Chapman, who switches it back to the dockside wing, and the mark taken there by Cox. Cox will come into the centre square again and find Geordie Clark. All of the Saints set up in front of the ball here. Or behind the ball in their case.
Every player in front of Clark. He kicks into the centre circles where Wilson has it, then takes the man on the mark on, and he gets another 20 metres further forward, kicks long into the pocket over the head of his intended target there, and Wilkie on his opposite boot is able to fashion a nice kick around the corner. Mark taken by Phillip, who goes short again. That's okay. Hill has it, gives it to the run outside. It's Crouch, long kick, and going back with the flight, Owens. He's outmarked 3-on-1 here. Ended up with the footy and then was ragdolled by Pearce. Ball spilt free. St Kilda get numbers to the fall of the ball. Hill received the hand pass. His kick was smothered. Pearce upended the Saint. Now Clark has it off his left boot. Puts it into the hot spot. Stocker almost not in the back. Saints fans wanted the free. Now a chance for Fremantle. Taberner. Long hand pass over the top comes the way of Jackson. Jackson further out wide. Hughes has to backtrack by hand. Sarong, and his kick is foot half smothered. It must have just hit the wrong part of the foot, and now the Saints are coming the other way through Crouch.
Spots up Hill on the wing. Marks on the logo. Wants to send it out wide. Finds a teammate in Webster, who kicks inside 50, and backpedaling Owens juggles the mark. He completes it a couple of metres in from the boundary line, 25 metres out.
Well, we're seeing something a little bit different from Ross Lyon, the coach, but the Saints are getting back in numbers and getting back fast, but then getting in them on transition. So you haven't really seen that on Ross Lyon's teams with the fast transition.
Mitch Owens on the left, snaps around the corner. It bounces and trickles through. Landed in front of the pack who are rushing towards it.
That was a really interesting kick. Who kicked that? Who was
Owens.
that? Owens. Is he a left footer or right footer?
Yeah, left footer, didn't make the distance.
Yeah, it was 45 out though on the boundary, and he's elected the snap. Only Paddy Ryder can do that, can't he?
2-3-15 plays, one straight 6, 18 minutes played in this opening term.
Young with a long kick from full back, and Tracy almost had it. Roving the pack beautifully was Schultz, goes to centre half forward. Fife takes the mark. His first significant involvement. He goes back to Schultz, who kept on running, takes the mark at the top of 50. Schultz short, too short for Taberner, took it on the bounce. Fast hands to Switkowski, who sold 4 of them the wrong way and kicks on the outside of the boot and hits the post. Would have been a good goal.
That would have been a great goal.
2-3-15 the Saints, 1-1-7 Fremantle, 18 minutes played first quarter.
He zipped through nicely, didn't he? Made that look a little bit easy.
So the Saints kick in. Wanganeen Miller goes short to Webster, who chips it short again to Battle. Still in the left back pocket. He'll go beyond the defensive 50 now, and Wanganeen Miller up on the end of it again. 55 out from the defensive goal for the Saints. He tightropes the boundary line with a short kick to Howard. Howard will now look longer towards the wing, looking for Marshall. Up he goes. Couple of bites at it, can't quite complete the mark. The Dockers pile on. And a ball up on the wing, right alongside the interchange gate. St Kilda 2-3-15, Fremantle 1-1-7. We've travelled 19 and a half minutes in the opening stanza.
Darcy reached over the top of Marshall and won it down to Sarong. His kick smothered, then bashed forward. And Howard pretty happy to see that one over the boundary line. Had Taberner for company. Jack Sinclair's been yelling at about 3 players to try and get on. He finally will as he comes on. Play about 25 metres in front of the interchange benches here. Toss back in. Darcy reached over the top again. Crouch, hand pass was okay to Clark, who somehow got his boot to ball. Into space in front of Higgins, who got the hand pass back to Steele. Just stopped on his kick for a moment through Young's hands of the Dockers. Now Butler a chance. Pearce over the top of it. Pearce forced to hand pass blindly. Brodie, hand pass. Now Aish, who just put it in front of himself, but earlier in the chain. It's coming back to Clark, who was pushed. Oh no, it's going to go to Aish rather. So Aish with the free kick, right half back for the Dockers. They trail by 8 after 20 minutes here in the opening term.
Aish goes back inside his D50 and spots up Clark. Kicks laterally to Chapman. Round 1 heroics last year from Chapman. Goes into the middle of the ground and kicks it to Young, who finds Switkowski. Now begins to open up for the Dockers. They've got men inside 50. The Saints swarm back. And the space just clogs up a little. Switkowski sets it up towards full forward. Tracy launches at it. Doesn't complete the mark. Schultz goes in for Fremantle. And it's held up. The ball up, 20 metres out from the attacking goal for the Dockers.
I think Fremantle, once they get the ball just back of centre, I think they've got to go a little bit faster because, as we mentioned earlier, the Saints are streaming behind the ball to get numbers back.
Darcy punches it forward towards the goal square. Schultz claims it. They quickly claim him, taken high. Schultz sees a tackle slide high on him, and he'll get the free kick directly in front. He'll kick from 20 metres out. Was it there, gents?
Yeah, I think it was. It was a little bit lazy.
So Lockie Schultz. He'll trudge in. Directly in front. Should kick Fremantle second. He does. Fremantle needed that. Their second goal that comes in time on in this first term. They're 2-1-13, St Kilda 2-3-15. We've played 22 minutes and change here in this opening term on Grandstand AFL. Brent Harvey and Brad Sewell.
They're the ones that hurt you, Sully.
Cheap, wasn't it?
You just work so hard and then you just... they didn't mean to do it, obviously, but you just get one that... It's a nothing free kick. You go back, you slot it. And you mentioned it was a much-needed goal. St Kilda looked like they were in real charge of this game, and you just let one slip and get an easy goal.
It's that part of the ground where you just cannot afford to be lazy. And so there's nothing free kicks, as you said, Boomer. Going into quarter time, siren's not far away now. It just changes the complete momentum and the reward you've had for that first quarter.
You go up, you go into quarter time, nearly 2 goals up. You start, high-fiving each other, going this great start. Now it's even, you go, it's going to be a tough game.
Darcy down only as far as Steele, who was ripped off it when he didn't have it. Ball coming back to the middle after it was kicked forward by the Saints. So captain with the footy behind the centre circles. He goes short. Sinclair's found a fair bit of space. Can go the hand pass outside of him to Wangan and Miller. Instead went longer to the goal square. Going back with the flight almost. Marshall snapped out of mid-air. He gets to the line. Is it over? Yes, it is. The goal kicked by Owens. And St Kilda answers straight back. Perhaps justly as well.
Fantastic
8 points
goal.
the margin.
Fantastic goal. Nice big left foot snap. That's the one he made up for before, and he was trying to kick him from 45 on the snap. But that was fantastic. Just an opportunist, isn't it? When you're playing forward, you need to... Well, that was nearly a mark by Marshall too. That's a great goal. Great goal on the left.
So Mitch Owens hits the scoreboard. St Kilda's third goal. Very close mates with Marcus Windhager, who's not out there today. St Kilda might well be taking a lead into quarter time. 24 minutes played in this opening term. Umpire lays it down. Marshall and Darcy go at it. Darcy slaps it towards Brayshaw. Handball away to Sarong. He's quickly tackled by Gresham. Drags him to ground. Crouch picks it up. He's tackled to ground by Darcy. And the umpire comes in and holds his arms to his chest. We'll go again in the middle. Up it goes. Marshall slaps it down. Bytel with the clearance. High ball towards half forward for the Saints. Ryan underneath it. Maybe gave his man just a little nudge. Now kicks the Dockers towards the wing.
O'Meara takes the mark. Just backward of centre wing. Hughes out wider still. Cox short for him as well. He's going to go over both of their heads, up towards right half forward, 5 from 3 deep. Almost slipped through his hands, that one. Marshall at ground level, hand pass to Wilkie, and now Stocker got into a spot of bother, but got the hand pass away. Back to Wilkie, who'd kept on running. Now to Burns, hooks it round the corner. Caminiti's going to receive the free kick. Oh, Gresham wanted to take the advantage, probably should have kept going. Is the umpire going to pay it? Not quite. Just enough of a pause, I reckon. Very close. You've seen a few of them let go. And it's going to come all the way back to Caminiti, who is a couple of kicks from goal. And wheel around. Long high kick inside 50. Big pack forming going back with the flight. Darcy was the only man who looked like marking that. And he takes a good defensive grab. Off to Young. And that's a lovely kick out wide. And Frederick takes the mark, left half back for the Dockers.
So Frederick just holds it up for the time being, then comes infield to Aish. Headband on.
It's where they've broken down, Freo. This next passage play here, Saints have gotten their numbers back really well.
Aish chips it over the top looking for O'Meara, but Steele does just that. He pinches it. So he's got it forward of the logo. City side of the ground here at Docklands. He kicks high inside attacking 50 for the Saints. They run and jump at it. Cox puts his fist through it. Brayshaw's at the fall of the ball. Handball to Frederick. Dockers down the City wing. Kick infield from Henry is a good one. Finds Fife, gives it off to Sarong. Looks deep, thumps it long. Race is on. Bouncing ball for Jackson. Howard closes, goes to ground. Webster sticks a boot in, pokes it away from him. Follows up with a handball. Does really well. And Wanganeen Miller kicks to the wing. And the Saints are out.
Great little win there for the Saints. They keep on going. Wood off the left boot, kicks long. Gresham couldn't quite take the mark, kept the ball in play. Was he grabbed without it? Umpire wave play on. Dockers get the numbers back. Young, long kick. Frederick reached, couldn't reel it in. Fife there for support. Spun out of one tackle, went back inboard by hand to Brayshaw. Pulls the kick. It's a 20-metre pass, so Mira couldn't complete the mark at ground level. It's then pulled underneath him. Umpire was circling. Wave play on in the end. Hand pass comes out wide to Hill. Hill in the middle of the ground goes the banana on the outside of the boot. Good luck trying to gather that. Higgins went down. Pushed over fairly easily in the end there by Wilson, who's then sold into trouble himself. He couldn't get the hand pass away. Umpire still yells play on. Now a chance close to the line and pushed over is Hughes. Stocker helps him to his feet. And we'll have a throw in right in front of Jess Webster.
Oh, you can tell footy's back when the crowd really gets into it and is yelling at every single call the umpire does or does not make. So the fans here in the stands are really in full voice here.
So the Saints leading by 8 points from the throw-in. Loose footy in front of the two rucks and lots of players over the top of it. Steele and also his opponent there in Jagger O'Meara with a little bit of the footy. 0437 774 774 if you wish to get involved. Punch forward by Darcy, going after it. Hill coming the other way. There is Henry. Ball spills out towards Chapman. It's a handball away. He's pinged. Holding the ball, he didn't get a handball away. And that will be the opening term here on Grandstand AFL on this Sunday afternoon. And St Kilda, their first term under their new coach in Ross Lyon, is a winning one. They will lead at the first change 3-3-21 to Fremantle's 2-1-13. The goal kickers for St Kilda, Gresham, Higgins and Owens, while for Fremantle, Frederick and Schultz. We'll come back with the thoughts of Brent Harvey and also Brad Sewell. This is Grandstand AFL.
Welcome to Sydney, 1983.
It was the hedonistic queer haven.
Come on, people!
That turns dark.
Something is killing gay men.
Are you referring to AIDS?
Where fear was infectious.
Our kids are not safe.
But courage was contagious.
So many of our friends are getting sick.
New ABC drama, inspired by real events.
We have a choice.
In our blood.
The world needs beautiful things right now.
Sunday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Darcy takes it out of the ruck, snaps the Dockers to half forward, through the hands of Frederick. Jackson flicks it back to Freddie. Time to steady, kicks the goal. A fast start for Freo through Michael Frederick. The first goal of this match after 69 seconds. The Saints move towards half forward. And able to take the mark, Marshall gives it off to Cordy, running by on his left to the top of the goal square. And the mark is taken by Jade Gresham. Gresham comes in and pokes it through for the Saints first.
Clark, his kick smothered. Falls to Higgins though, has a fine shot towards goal and bounces through. St Kilda with a couple early.
Darcy punches it forward towards the goal square. Schultz claims it. They quickly claim him, taken high. Schultz sees a tackle slide high on him, and he'll get the free kick directly in front. Should kick Fremantle second. He does.
Go the hand pass outside of him to Wayne and Miller. Instead went longer to the goal square. Going back with the flight almost. Marshall snapped out of mid-air. It gets to the line. Is it over? Yes, it is. The goal kick by Owens. And St Kilda answer straight back.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Great to have you with us here on Grandstand AFL. You heard it there, now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button. You'll see the little toggle. You can listen to every AFL game there. How good's that? All you need is the ABC Listen app. If you don't have it, head to the App Store and download it. Dave in Tasmania says, I thought the Saints Fremantle game was the Ross Lyon Cup. It is today. I think we can accept that he's been at both clubs. I'm not exactly sure what Dave is getting at with that, but keep your text coming, 0437 774 774. The game's record holder Brent Harvey and dual premiership hawk Brad Sewell are with us. What did you see in that opening term?
A lot of footy. It was frenetic. The ball was pinging around everywhere, and the quarter-time siren couldn't come quick enough for both sides out there. Hands on hips all over the field. I really liked what we saw from St Kilda. Their ability to play on quickly in transition between the arcs was fantastic. I think they must have had at least 5 or 6 really quick, slick handball receives from those stationary marks. They got out the back in behind the Freo defence and looked really dangerous. And, conversely to that, Freo had issues transitioning the ball between the arcs because St Kilda clogged it up really, really well. Fife's begun deep, couldn't quite get in the game, so it was nice to see him come up, get involved and get his hands on the foot a little bit more, Boomer.
He had his first possession at the 20-minute mark in the first quarter. He was the only man on the ground without a possession, which you don't see very often, the great Nate Fife without a touch. But he ended up with 3 touches for the game. You called it really well halfway through that quarter, Sully, where Fremantle, when they get to the ball to the centre, they need to go a lot quicker. So St Kilda had given them the ball down back. Fremantle had 41 marks. The leader at this minute in round 1 was Melbourne with 117. This rate, they're going at 164, the Fremantle Dockers. But a lot of them, 90%, I reckon, have been in their back half. And when they get forward, they can't go forward because St Kilda are working so hard back. And then what I haven't seen from a Ross Lyon team to this extent is when they win the ball down back, their transition has been fantastic. And that's through the work rate of Higgins and Gresham and these type of guys. So the siren went, and you said hands were on the hips from both teams. It has been a frenetic start. Can they keep this up? That's the big question for me.
And that'll be a challenge for both sides. You just cannot continue to play at that pace, particularly first game of the year. So they'll need to try and control that, slow the tempo down from time to time. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of blokes cramping third, fourth quarters.
And a lot of pickle juice being guarded. So, it's been a great start. I think it's been fantastic. St Kilda have come out firing. I'm loving what they're seeing. You can speak about the people that are not there, but the people that are there are doing a fantastic job at the minute, so it's going to be great. And, just little things like the contested work of Caminiti up forward. He's only had a couple of possessions, but he's competing in the air. He's bringing the ball to ground for Gresham and Higgins and these type of guys, so really good to see.
Let's go downstairs to Jess Webster. A bit of a concern for the Saints, Jess.
There is. Jack Bytel went into the rooms during quarter time with the doctors. A potential knee concern. They were just pointing to the inside of the knee. He hasn't re-emerged from the rooms as yet, so I'll keep an eye on it to see whether or not he comes back out, as Jimmy Webster almost comes to the bench and then was sent back out there. But Ben Patton is the sub. He was keeping warm during that quarter-time break, so we'll see whether or not the Saints activate their medical sub. Of course, we know their long list of injuries, not what they need right now.
Didn't pay attention to the magnets. Jimmy Webster, thought he was on the bench. Just about set for this second term. St Kilda leading by 8 points. Underway in the second term. No decisive tap. going in quickly is O'Meara. And we'll get a secondary ball up, still inside the bullseye in the middle of Docklands.
Fremantle 5, Taberner and Jackson deepest. Not a bad 3.
Marshall punches it forward. Clark gets it, has it knocked out of his hands by Crouch. Going in is Wilson for the Dockers. Shovels out a handball away. She's met there by Clark, who drags him down in a tackle. And the umpire will come in and ball it up between wing and half forward for the Saints.
I wonder if that'll be a challenge for the Freo forward line. 3 genuine forwards. It could potentially be one out, all juggling time down there between them.
Darcy down only as far as Still, though. Hooks a kick inside 50. No mark taken. Out the side of the pack. Gresham is lurking. He's onto it as well. Feeds the hand pass inboard. Crouch, was he taken without it? No, said the umpire. Young there for the Dockers. Got the hand pass away to Wilson, to Brodie by hand. Now across to Clark and Ryan. And Ryan goes back the other way to the right back pocket, rather. Now it's taken by Cox just to settle things down for the Dockers. St Kilda's intensity has been right on again at the start of this second term as it was in the first. They lead by 8 points. Cox from the right back pocket, out wide, rising high was Jackson, no mark taken. Aish got the hand pass away only as far as Taberner though, and he never got a look at it because coming over the top with a big interception was Clark, and he's been paid deliberate, which I 100% agree with because it wasn't a marking contest.
So his winning still spoiled the ball from the Fremantle player.
Yep.
Has been called deliberate. You're happy with that?
Yeah, because not a marking contest. That's the rule.
Yep.
So Lee, you can be the decisive vote.
Maisie's right. I like it.
Young switches. Ryan takes the mark at left half back. Goes short to Cox.
Did look weird because it just looked like he
just
smashed
a
it away
punch,
from someone.
Yeah. So but if you go up for a mark and you come over and punch the ball, you're deliberately trying to get it out of the area. You're getting it out of bounds. So it's the same thing, isn't it?
Well, it should be, but it's not, according to the interpretations.
I love this game.
Fremantle kicking it around across half-back. Not really going anywhere at the moment. Ryan goes short to Pearce, and Sully, you mentioned it in that first term. This is where Fremantle have struggled. Saints just folding back. Pearce goes short to Brayshaw, captain to co-captain, or captain to vice-captain, rather.
They get even with the ball, and they're happy to give up the switch. Cox will go in, and he'll probably switch this again, and St Kilda are happy for that. They need to break a line. You need to get a short kick with a handball received to beat the man on the mark to get the ball deeper.
Cox looks down the wing, trying to find Taberner. Battle gets a fist in, then follows up at ground level for the Saints. Handball to Crouch, handball to Wood, handball back towards Wilkie, who kicks down the line, and the mark taken there by Cox again for the Dockers. So he'll go back towards the defensive arc. Here's Wilson. He can break a line. Goes for a little run, a couple of bounces, and he'll switch it across towards Ryan at right half back. St Kilda by 8 points as we were at quarter time.
He kicks it further forward to Aish, who works the ball around the boundary, and Frederick presents, still behind halfway. Again, it's quite lateral from the Dockers. Frederick now will go along the boundary line with a longer kick. Jackson up with one hand, couldn't get to the drop of the ball in the end, and now the ball comes to Wilkie, who hand passes it out wide. Wanganeen Miller just darts inside, pulled the kick. It's intercepted. Young has it right on centre wing, fires in a bullet into Switkowski's chest, who takes the mark. Hand passes to the running Brayshaw. Now the kick inside 50. Jackson through his hands over the back of the pack. The Saints have the numbers. Webster, great follow-up tackle by Jackson. Then it's smashed through for a rush behind. In fact, he got in his back in the very last moment. And we'll have a free kick. Or in fact, it's going the other way. It is for holding the ball against Jimmy Webster.
That's the play, though. That's the play that they've got to do. It was that handball that broke the man. I think it was Brayshaw that got the ball in deeper. Something always occurs, but you've got to beat the man on the mark to do it.
Jackson, right forward pocket, 10 metres out. Will have to snap this with his left. He does, and he shanks it across the face of goal and out of bounds on the full. Doesn't register a score, and the Saints fans love it. 3-3-21 plays 2-1-13.
That would be harder to do than not to do, so we missed the whole thing from there.
So Jack Sinclair will get the free kick. A few texts coming through. We'll get to those in a moment. Sinclair wants to take it out towards the city side of the ground. Spots up Webster.
We've been playing 17 minutes and they've had 16 marks already. 17 marks already, the Fremantle Dockers. They will get 160 if nothing changes.
Here goes St Kilda down the city wing. Trying to emerge with it is Burns. Feeds a handball away. Webster kicks towards half forward. Darcy gets involved there for the Dockers. Chops it off, brings it down to Clark, who gives it back to Ryan. He kicks towards the wing. Wanganeen Millera does well, brings it to ground. He doesn't do well because he gives away a free kick. And you'll hear the thoughts of the Saints fans. Ball will have to be retrieved. Hutchie says, loving the call, Ben and team. Listening in the ute, driving back from the secret beach. From Hutchie. Good on you, Hutch.
Secret beach.
Brayshaw with the free kick to centre half back, and Ryan has it. He comes to left half back, and this familiar switch is on. Cox has it, hangs the ball up high. Should have been a free kick to Schultz. It was paid in the end. Crouch late.
Saints have done that really well, just slowed that transition kick down.
Schultz runs around, Crouch on the mark, gained about 20 metres, slams it inside 50. Whistle, free kick. It's going the Dockers' way. And it's going to go to Taberner. So, Saints fans not happy with a bit of the treatment at the moment they're copping from the umpires. Not happy on the replay either. And 50 metres too, because I think Callum Wilkie might just have pointed the replay out to the umpire while he was standing the mark. So now a certain goal for Taberner, who kicks it from the top of the square. His first of the afternoon. Fremantle's third. And they close the gap. 3-3-21 the Saints. 3-1-19 the Dockers. We've played 6.5 minutes in this second quarter. Let's head downstairs. Jess.
Good news for Saints fans. Jack Vitale has emerged from the race, got some strapping on his left knee, gave the thumbs up to the bench, and he's just run out onto the field.
Very good news for the Saints there. Sully and Boomer took us through that marking contest.
Yeah, it didn't look like there was much in it, so... But you still got to bite your tongue from it. Taberner was going to go back there. He's a left footer. You've got to understand this. He was lining up to kick a right foot snap from there. So the chances of it going through was pretty small for me. And then you give the umpire a bit of lip and he kicks it from a half a centimetre out.
There's no benefit on even engaging with the umpire in that position at all.
You know what you do? When that plays out, he kicks the goal or whatever, you go up to the umpire and say, mate, what did you see there? That's it. Yeah, that's not a free kick.
Yeah, I'd be avoiding Ross for a little while. Out of the middle. Go the Dockers through O'Meara. Puts it on his boot inside 50. Tracy attacks it, doesn't take the mark. Brayshaw swats it forward. Schultz applies the tackle. Ball jars free by Tell. Puts it on his boot. Straight up and down. Aish on the end of it. Did it go the 15? He's paid the mark. I'm not sure it went 15. I'm not sure he had enough of it. But either way, the umpire is content with it. And James Aish will go back and kick for goal. The mark set 45 metres out.
Oh, no, he's done it again.
Oh, it's another 50. Brad Crouch, the offending party.
Jack Steele, I think it was.
Oh, Jack Steele, rather, yeah.
That
the
hurts.
captain has given away a 50-metre penalty. Aish will be marched to the goal square and bang it through. That hurts for the Saints. They're sinners at the moment. Ill discipline has cost them 2 goals. And Fremantle take back the lead. They're 4-1-25. St Kilda 3-3-21. 8.5 minutes into their second term here on Grandstand AFL.
Just waiting for the replay to see what sort of engagement there actually was. Ross must be absolutely steaming up there in the box.
Jack Steele, he looked really like, when the umpire said 50, he was holding his hands out like he hadn't said too much. So it'd be very interesting. But again, Aish is going to kick. He's got to kick that ball from 53, 54 metres. That's a goal that's probably only a 20% chance to make it 100%. That's 2 goals now. Be really disappointed, the Saints, with that.
Back in the middle. Marshall won it down. This time only as far as Sarong. He's taken immediately. We'll have another stoppage right in the centre circles. Players squeeze up on the ball here from either end. Darcy won it down. Steele tries to paddle in a teammate's direction. Sarong onto it though. Hand pass to Brodie. Kicks inside 50 for the Dockers. Through Taberner's hands over the back. Wilkie. Oh, great mark by Hughes. Stuck out the one hand. Took the intercept mark. And he can fire the Dockers back inside 50 again. It's a deep entry. Frederick didn't get a run at it. Nice hands by Wilkie at the back of the pack. Takes the mark on that occasion. And just wants to settle things down for St Kilda. Conceded a couple of early goals in this second term. Frederick did well to affect the smother. And the kick dribbles its way towards Marshall, who got the hand pass to Stocker, who's ushered over the line. It'll be a boundary throw in right where the 50-metre line meets the boundary line. 4-1-25 the Dockers, 3-3-21 the Saints. 10 minutes played second term on Grandstand AFL.
From the throw-in. Knocking it down, Darcy straight to Switkowski, who's hammered in a tackle. Driven into the turf. Quickly, Webster all over the top of him, and we'll get another ball up. Umpire puts it up. Darcy and Marshall both with hands on it. Comes down towards Sarong. Bouncing handball towards Hughes. Stabs it inside 50. Fife can't mark. Now he tries to follow up at ground level, but Webster's there. Handball stolen by Henry for the Dockers. Misses his target with the handball. Goes in again, Henry. Picks it up. Handball away to Waish. Jams it on the left boot. Bouncing towards goal. It trickles just the wrong side of the post. A minor score for the Dockers. They're 4-2-26. St Kilda 3-3-21. 11 played second term.
Quick kick out to Stocker, who sold Sinclair into a bit of trouble. Luckily he was aware, got a looping left-handed handball over the top to Steele, who goes to centre wing, punched away from Marshall. Roving it nicely was Clark, put it in front of Gresham. It's just going to trickle into the path of Alex Pearce, who was happy to see the boundary line, thought he might have stepped over, kept it in smartly in the end to Young, to Hughes, to Brodie. This is all by hand now to O'Meara, who's running through centre wing. Switkowski's out the back, takes the mark with the outstretched hands, running back inside, attacking 50, and he'll line up from about 40 out, 45-degree angle to the left.
That's the play, Sully, because how quick was that? There was 3 or 4 handballs and that long kick. You can get the guys out the back if you do that. Chipping around down back hasn't been working, so you might see a little bit more of that, which was fantastic. Great brand of football.
Couple of costly 50s, and you just feel like Freo have wrestled the momentum their way at the moment. 5 points is the margin they lead by. Switkowski, one behind this afternoon. And he comes. It's a strange sort of slicing action through the ball. Out to the right-hand side and one behind. 4-3-27, plays 3-3-21. One straight kick the margin after 12 minutes in the second term.
It was fantastic by Pearce down here too, the captain, who left his man and made the aggressive move, and it paid off.
Wanganeen Miller up. A dodgy kick in, but able to corral it is Stocker. One-handed mark. Now kicks a low ball around the boundary line, looking for Wood. Hughes in front of him. Crouch roves for the Saints. Feeds a handball forward for Cordy. Has to pick it up around the bootlaces. Goes back to Crouch. Saints around the boundary line to Wood. Forward feeding handball. Vitell, 55 out. Sets it up towards full forward. Looking for a marker. Spoiling it away, Ryan. Fredericks there for the Dockers. Gives it back to Ryan and a clearing kick beyond defensive 50.
His target is Taberner, who just eased battle with his right hand underneath the footy and took a good contested mark. He's come a long way up from home. He'll take this kick right on the boundary line, right half back. Again, slow movement forward. Just pulled the kick a little bit. He was looking for Frederick. Got to the ball, didn't complete the mark. Burns spins out of the Fife tackle that slipped high anyway. St Kilda happy to take the advantage. Hand pass comes away of Butler, who kicks inside 50, but it's all Fremantle. Chapman takes the mark, going back with the flight. He switches play. It's a free kick
in the marking contest.
Interesting. It was about 3-on-1 at ground level as well, so Fremantle definitely had the numbers around, and now Caminiti.
Must have a good leg on him, because there's about 4 St Kilda players all pointed to the goal. They either think he's a great kick or they need a rest. That's one of the two.
The mark's set 48 metres, so this will have to travel 55 to clear the line. Takes a big breath. The man who wasn't on the list a couple of months ago. And 7 weeks later, he's playing his first game of AFL footy. What a story this would be. Got very close to the man on the mark. It's got the distance, but it's away to the left-hand side for one behind. First score of his career. 3-4-22 the Saints. 4-3-27 the Dockers. 14 played second quarter.
Daisy and Dog Swamp on the SMS says 1 quarter of Freo football. Same problems apply. Their inability to find regular goal kickers. This will be their downfall this year. Ryan goes long towards the wing for the Dockers. Looking for Jackson. Tries to gather on the bounce. There is Howard for the Saints. Sweeps a handball towards Wood. He goes with a forward handball to the running Crouch. Kicks the Saints back towards full forward. Getting back Cox. Good courageous mark going back with the flight. Intercept mark. He feeds the handball away to Ryan, who gives it off to Chapman. Right back pocket for Freo. Kick out towards the city wing. over his target's head. And the Saints are there, Battle can mark.
Poor kick just over the head of his intended target there in Butler. Now a chance for Fremantle. Hand pass comes the way of Clark, and now to Jackson, who works the 1-2 with Brodie. Jackson the chip over the top. It's good too. Fife takes it. He's 60 from goal. He'll wheel around, look into the forward pocket. Poor kick. Was looking for Frederick over the top. Going back with the flight. Battle takes the mark, and then a short pass to Stocker, still inside defensive 50. He goes short again to Bytel, and now to the run of Sinclair. He hand passes outside of defensive 50 to Wanganeen Miller, who kicked it on into Clark's head. He was hardly even looking, the former Cat. Ball spills in front of him. He tracks it inside 50. Clark snaps towards goal. It was Schultz hoping for a bounce over the top. Didn't get it away for one behind. 4-4-28. The Dockers, 3-4-22. The Saints trading behinds at the moment. 16 played second term.
There's been some basic errors made, but that's always round one.
Fatigue.
Fatigue set in, especially at this pace that both these teams are playing at.
Stocker with a thumping kick towards the wing. The Saints are at the fall of the ball. Here they go. Streaming away is Patton. He takes a bounce. Sorry, rather Burns. He takes a couple of bounces. Now he looks inside 50. Goes short. His kick not a good one. Through the hands it goes to Marshall. Spills out towards Hunter Clark. He snaps towards full forward. Bouncing ball off the shins there of Ryan. Higgins picks it up. Chapman will arrive. He'll mop up. Handball away towards Henry, and the Dockers should be able to work it out. Cox sweeps a handball looking for Young. And it tumbles out. And we'll get a throw in the right forward pocket. 4-4-28 the Dockers. 3-4-22 St Kilda. 17 minutes played in this opening term in this second term on Grandstand AFL.
Hunter Clark had a couple of options there. I reckon he could have given it off.
Dockers have kicked 2 for this quarter. St Kilda yet to get a major on the board. Quick kick out of the scrap from Sarong. Finds its way to Taverner, who hand passed it to Switkowski, and he's absolutely smashed over the boundary line and out of bounds. St Kilda getting plenty of numbers around the fall of the footy there. Ball to be tossed back into play between the wing and right half forward for the Saints. Marshall was focused on Jackson in that ruck contest. His eyes were firmly planted on the St Kilda ruckman, and the umpire's given the free kick to Jackson. He hand passes to Henry, who switches play into the middle. Good kick to Frederick, who wants to go quickly himself. Frederick puts it out in front of Tracy, who's taken down from behind. Gets up to his feet, though, to receive the hand pass, then fires the kick towards the top of 50. Reaches Fife on the bounce, who turns, delivers. It's out of bounds on the full. A little too wide there for Lockie Schultz.
He's had a couple of skill errors too, hasn't he? 5. His last 2 kicks haven't been fantastic for the superstar.
So Wanganeen Miller up in the back pocket for the Saints. Just stabs it short. Good kick. Away to Stocker. Stocker goes with a low ball towards the wing. Can't quite find his target. Aaron Burns will get a free kick. Ryan Burns. He's 31 a couple of years ago. Changed his number to 13. So likes 3-1 or 1-3, but flipped him around. He kicks around the city wing. Philippou launches at the footy. Can't take the mark. Out the back, still fighting after it. Caminiti getting involved, but the Dockers win it back. Here's Brayshaw. Handball away to Chapman. Handball to Switkowski. Can they go through the middle of the ground? He wants to switch it out towards the dockside wing. Frederick marks. He holds it up.
This is where they've got to go.
Now Frederick runs around, gets on his left, kicks into the forward pocket, looking for Darcy. It'll be out of bounds on the full. You heard the call of Brad Sewell. He wants them to go a little quicker, Fremantle. They lead by just a goal, 19 minutes into the second.
That's the part of the ground, isn't it? They're about 100 out, just back of centre. You've got to go.
You turn and goes, it'll create something in front of you. Forces your teammates to move through the space.
It's like the chicken or the egg. What comes first? The ball movement or lower your eyes? They're hand in hand.
In the other game, Essendon by 53 points midway through the fourth.
So the Saints have worked this around the outer side. Hill takes the mark, darts one in, kicks it to his former teammate in Brayshaw, who takes the mark on his chest, just forward of centre wing. St Kilda again quite quick to get players back behind the footy here, clogging things up, making it difficult for Brayshaw. Kick was over the head of his teammate there in Clark, who did a bit of body work on Hill. Ball spills over the back for a boundary throw in at right half forward for the Dockers. 4-4 plays 3-4. Fremantle with the lead at the moment by a goal. Ticked over 20 minutes in this second term. Toss back into play. Marshall had a fresh area. In fact, he was being held and he'll receive the free kick. A relieving one for St Kilda at left half back.
So Marshall with it. Puts his right foot through it. Kicks long and high towards half forward. Chapman drops the mark. Caminiti onto it. He turns and goes. Kicks towards full forward. Getting back Wilson for the Dockers. Takes the defensive mark. Has it at fullback. Chips it short to Chapman. Dockers leading by a goal. Chapman gives it off by hand to Wilson. Cruising by. Kicks out towards the City wing. Bouncing ball here for Darcy. Right there with him is Marshall. Darcy loses his feet. Marshall doesn't. Wins the footy for the Saints. Back the other way. Handball away to Hill. Runs a little arc. Runs away from Big Darcy. Gives a handball away to Steele. He'll kick the Saints inside 50. Looking for a marker down there. Offhands it. Falls towards Higgins. His handball chopped down and Clark will clear with a dribble kick for the Dockers.
Although only clears as far as Burns, who pulls the kick. Kicks inside. The mark is taken by Bytel, who's about 40 out, slight angle to the left.
Clever kick by Burns. Looked like he's going to wind up and put it long, top of the goal square, lowered his eyes, found his mark.
He just caught a couple of Fremantle Dockers just backtracking, didn't he?
It looked like it, didn't it?
As you mentioned, he looked long and just popped the ball in short. I agree, fantastic kick.
What a big goal kicker, Jack Bytel, just 2 in his first 16 games of AFL footy. And he comes from 45, kicks that one beautifully. Never looked like missing from the moment it left his boot, and St Kilda finally have their first of the second term. We are all locked up, 4-4, 28 apiece. We've played 22 minutes.
It was a much needed goal after St Kilda had a little bit of discipline problems in the first part of this quarter. That's one that they needed back big time, and Sully, great call. Looked long, kicked short, catches the defenders off guard, especially the defenders like Ryan, who want to zone off a little bit. When they start going back, it's very hard to come forward.
Natural inclination is to get back and protect the goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
or support teammates, yep.
Played it really well.
The match review findings from this opening round are in. We'll bring you those at half-time.
You'll need half-time, I reckon.
Here are a few there.
Cozzy Pickett, 2 matches. Buddy Franklin offered a match. Out of the middle, here's Crouch for the Saints. Gets a handball away. Henry onto it for the Dockers. Stops, props, runs into a dead end. Loses it. Umpire says he got a handball away. Now Crouch somehow flicks out a handball to Butler. Handball to Hill. His handball knocked down by Wilson. Goes back to Hill. Now he handballs looking for Butler. Under pressure there from Brayshaw. Socked by Hill. It works out well. Saints come away with it. Kick inside 50. Philippou! The number 10 draft pick from last year's draft on debut. He takes the mark. 35 metres out directly in front.
Terrific pressure by the Saints just to keep themselves in the contest. Keep the ball surging forward. Well judged mark in the end.
Put it through, young fella.
So Matthias Philippou on debut, on the left boot. He's welcome to the big time moment. His first goal in AFL footy. And they come from around the ground to ruffle his hair. It gives St Kilda the lead again. They're 5-4-34. Fremantle 4-4-28. 24 minutes into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
It's always a great scene, isn't it, when the young fella kicks his first goal. Everyone gets around him. What a thrill. Well done.
Essendon over Hawthorn by 59 points at the moment at the MCG as well. Halfway through the final term there, so Brad Scott will enjoy his first win and his first game as coach as a Bomber.
Didn't happen very often at the Kangas when Brad Scott was there. I think we lost 7 in a row or something in our first game of the year, so well done.
Back in the middle. It's the Saints here by a goal. They almost win the centre clearance. Just losing his footing at the last moment was Steele. He was good enough to get the flick on, though, by hand to Sinclair, who got it back to Webster by hand. And he kicks to Burns, who took the mark. Attacking an aggressive kick, almost paid off. Having to paddle it to himself was Crouch. He put his teammate Battle under all sorts of pressure. He's got Switkowski for company. Now Taberner gets there as well. Battle is battling hard at ground level. Did well enough to get the hand pass away to Crouch, who made up a fair bit of space to make up for his mistake with the kick in the first place. Kick around the corner as a turnover though. Brayshaw sliding in, loses his footing. Second man in over the top, ensuring it's going nowhere as the man on debut in Caminiti. Wood gets to his feet. St Kilda doing a good job to hold it up at half-forward. Reach over the top by Darcy, only as far as Wood though on that raking left boot. Gets a high kick to the top of 50, spoiled away. And now it's a chance for Sarong. Searching hand pass through the congestion. Brayshaw got it short to O'Meara. Now to Darcy, who had Switkowski out 10 metres in front of him. Instead went for the bomb inside 50, and it was easy enough for Wilkie to smash over the boundary line and out of bounds for a throw in. 50 out from Freo's goal. The Saints lead by a goal. 26 played second quarter.
And that's a handball that Ruckman just has to give. He had Switkowski forward of him by 6 or 7 metres. Probably could have turned and maybe used his pace, taken a bounce. Ruckman, you've got to give that one.
Umpire spins it back in. Darcy in front, hooks it to the back. Sinclair's there for the Saints. Dumps it on his left boot. A high kick towards the wing. Underneath it going up Owens. Hands to it, doesn't complete the mark. Getting involved there is Pearce for the Dockers. He's over the top of it. And we'll get a ball up on the wing. Saints lead by one straight kick, 5-4 to 4-4. Closing in on half-time here on Grandstand AFL.
Jackson comes through a long way to take this ruck contest. He won it over the top, but there's a lot of congestion underneath him. Brayshaw ensuring it goes nowhere. Captain of the Saints still gets to his feet, hands it back to the umpire. Marshall won it down to Crouch, who was dragged off it at the last moment. Still got the hand pass to Steele. Hand pass to Clark, now to Wanganeen Miller through the middle. Owens needs to turn, he does. Hand pass out wider still to Wood, who was almost caught on his right foot. Goes with his left into the pocket. Mark taken by Gresham. Metre inside the boundary line. 25 out from goal. This will take his best, but you wouldn't want the ball in any other Saints players' hands at the moment.
He's a chance, isn't he? Got some skills, Gresham.
Sure does. He's crafty around goal.
What does he do? Be an interesting kick, actually, because he's a little bit too far out from Banana, maybe. Have to go and drop punt that fades back. Banana.
He's going to go the banana, and we've given him a pump up. He's kicked it out of bounds on the full.
It was in a really tricky distance for me.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's do I go a drop punt and try to make the ball fade back down, or do I go a banana where I've got to kick it really hard? When you kick banana really hard, you see that happens. It bends a lot.
Ryan goes short. Chapman in the other back pocket for the Dockers. Moves it on to Wilson. Around the city wing go the Dockers. Long towards Henry. Up he goes. Can't take the mark. Trying to take the hanger. Howard's there at the fall of the ball. And now the Saints work it out through Webster. He chips it poorly out of bounds on the full. So the Dockers to get it back just forward of the wing. City side of the ground, and Hughes will have the kick. He sets it up inside 50. Darcy will get a little run and jump. Doesn't in the end. Has his run chopped off. Taberner follows up at ground level. And it's held in. A ball up 45 metres around from the Dockers' goal. The Saints leading by one straight kick, 5-4 to 4-4, closing in on half-time.
Darcy double taps it away from the stoppage. Now onto it is Brayshaw. Got the hand pass. It's intercepted though by Webster, who flung it on his right boot this time. Bounces in front of Owens, who almost kept it in. It trickles over for a boundary throw in the end, in between wing and right half forward for the Dockers. They trail by a goal. Kick the opening two in this second term, but the Saints with the last two to take the lead back. Thrown back into play. Darcy won it down in front of him, but again coming through the stoppage was Burns. Got the hand pass away only as far as Clark. He didn't have much time to get rid of it. Spilt free from his grasp. A little kick finds its way to Hughes, and now to Clark. Clark tried to give it to Sarong, who was facing the wrong way. Eventually got it by hand to Henry. Kicks inside 50. Taberner, that's got to be a free. Was impeded when he was going for the ball. In fact, it's Tracy He should kick this one from the top of the square. Costly free kick to give away again late in the quarter.
Freo have looked so much more dangerous when the ball's in chaos around the middle part of the ground, as opposed to that kick mark style. Taberner good enough running back towards goal. St Kilda defender just caught in the hop.
Tracy 15 metres out. Directly in front. Should kick the goal. And he does. And we're right back where we started. 5-4, 34 apiece at half-time. Tracy with his first of the game. All single goal kickers for Freo. One to Schultz, one to Aish, one to Taberner, and one to Frederick. And the same goes for the Saints as well, with Gresham, Owens, Higgins, Bytel, and Philippou with one apiece. 5-4, 34. We are all locked up at half-time in what's been an intriguing battle in the first half.
So the goal kickers for St Kilda: Gresham, Higgins, Owens, Bytel, and Philippou with singles. Frederick, Schultz, Taberner, Aish, and Tracy all with singles for the Dockers. Ben Cameron alongside Andrew Mays, Brent Harvey, and Brad Sewell are our experts here on Grandstand AFL. As Maisie called it beautifully there on the stroke of half-time, we're right back where we started.
We certainly are. It's a draw at half-time. It's amazing, really, isn't it? They give away 2 early goals to Saints. Really bad discipline. It's something that Ross will come in, and I hope he speaks to them about it or shows them on the video and see how they go. But Fife, a talking point for me. I'm really interested to see, Sully, what you think, and maybe even what the boys think about Fife. So he's had 5 possessions to half-time, no impact on the game at all. Is there a stage where you go, rightio, we've earmarked you to play forward, but we need you to get up the ground a little bit? You might not have to play on ball as such anymore, but do we play you, somewhere between 30 and 80 out instead of just being the last guy on the line, because he's a star? They need to get him into the game for me. Brayshaw's had 16 possessions, but if I'm watching the game, he's had very, very little impact for me on the game, Sully. So Brayshaw 16, Sarong 11, Brody 8. They're their major ball winners from last year, and they haven't had a huge impact on the game, whereas the Saints, I feel like they've got the running game going. And Maisie mentioned they've had a big pre-season in terms of injury because they've ran them so hard. Well, it looks like they're running on top of the ground at half-time just now.
Yeah, the Saints' pressure has been fantastic, and on that 5 point, the high half-forward role is a really difficult one to play.
Yep.
And particularly the way Freo are playing at the moment, stop-start. St Kilda, midfield press, because it's been a slow transition for Freo, it's allowed St Kilda to set up really well behind the ball, and Fife's got nowhere to go. And on the occasion where it has been that chaos ball through the middle part of the ground, a quick handball receive, that's when Freo have looked dangerous. And they're lucky to be in this position because they did appear to be 2 soft free kicks. St Kilda have looked the more damaging side.
I agree.
That quick handball release that they've played St Kilda, getting the ball in forward quickly, has looked really dangerous.
They're getting up the ground, Sully. They're getting up the ground. They squeeze the ground defensively. And as soon as they win the football, there is, from the centre circle to the goal line of space. And the Saints boys, Mason Wood in particular on the wing, getting a lot of space. Gresham heading back towards goal. They're working really, really hard. We spoke about it at quarter time. Can they maintain that? It's going to be a really interesting second half just on that. So if they can run the game out, they've put themselves in a fantastic position to be there right at the end.
The thoughts of Brent Harvey and Brad Sewell here on Grandstand AFL through to half-time in this final match of round 1 between St Kilda and Fremantle. Scores level at the main break, 5-4, 34 apiece. In the other game taking place at the moment, Essendon running away with it. They lead by 71 points, 19-10, 124 to 7-11, 53 on the stroke of the final siren in that match. Sully, it might be a long year for your Hawks and your old mate Sam Mitchell.
It appears that, doesn't it? But that probably comes as no surprise to most. I think it's been well publicised and plenty of commentary around the expectations around the Hawks this year.
Yep, I think we agree with that. Also, GWS and Adelaide. GWS with a big comeback victory over the Crows, 15-16, 106 to 12-18, 90. GWS winning by 16 points over the Crows, who were well on top in that match early on. The match review findings are out, so Tom Barras has received a $3,000 fine for striking Charlie Comben in the match between the Eagles and North Melbourne yesterday. Darcy Byrne-Jones from Port Adelaide has a first offence for tripping, a $1,500 fine, and Keziah Pickett a 2-match ban for his hit on Bailey Smith. It was graded as careless conduct, high impact and high contact, so 2 weeks for Cozzy Pickett. Lance Franklin, rough conduct, careless conduct, medium impact and high contact. He gets a 1-match ban as well. Okay, this is Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital. Now streaming as well through the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL button. So just open your pink AFL Listen app. You'll be able to find the AFL toggle and you'll be able to listen along to every broadcast throughout the AFL season. Let us know where and how you're listening as well. 0437 774 774 at 0437 774 774. But with scores level between the Saints and the Dockers, it's time for us to pause and get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. The former US President Donald Trump is calling on his supporters to protest his expected indictment next week. Mr. Trump says he expects to be charged on Tuesday. Authorities in New York have been investigating fraud allegations related to hush money paid to a porn star by his lawyers. Donald Trump's former Vice President Mike Pence says he's confident Mr. Trump can take care of himself.
Like many Americans, I'm taken aback. You have a major crime wave in New York, and this is what the Manhattan DA says is their top priority. It just it reeks of the kind of political prosecution that we endured back in the days of the Russia hoax.
Anti-discrimination groups say the Victorian government must take immediate action after a group of protesters performed Nazi salutes outside State Parliament in Melbourne yesterday. Dr. Diva Abramovich from the Anti-Defamation Commission has been pushing the government to expand its ban on the Nazi symbol to also prohibit the Nazi salute as well. He says yesterday's offensive behaviour shows action must be taken.
The monster of neo-Nazism has been unleashed on the streets of Melbourne. And there is something very, very wrong when these Hitler worshippers who fantasize about an Aryan Australia can do the Heil Hitler salute and there is no consequence. The law is on their side.
South Korea says North Korea's fired a short-range ballistic missile towards the sea off the east coast of the Korean peninsula. Today's launch is the latest in a barrage of weapons tests from the nuclear-armed north. In a statement, South Korea's military says the missile flew around 800 kilometres before striking a target. South Korea has condemned North Korea's recent ballistic missile launches as a violation of UN Security Council resolutions, and there's also been criticism from Japan and the United States. A large earthquake has shaken Ecuador and has been felt in nearby Peru. The magnitude 6.9 quake hit 22 kilometres off the South American coast. There are reports local communities have been badly damaged, while at least 14 people have been killed. Footage of a museum on a pier which collapsed into the ocean in Ecuador's Oro province shows people in boats attempting to rescue artefacts from the water. Indian authorities in the state of Punjab have shut down the internet for 24 hours as part of an operation to detain a Sikh separatist leader. The BBC's Barbara Platt-Usher with more.
The government of Punjab said all mobile internet services except for banking would be suspended statewide for 24 hours until 12 noon on Sunday in the interest of public safety. The block was imposed as videos circulated on social media purporting to show a Sikh separatist leader being chased by police. State authorities frequently shut down the internet, citing security and threats of violence, most often in Indian-administered Kashmir, but elsewhere too. Digital rights activists say the dominant reason is political instability and protests.
The Vatican says it's closed its embassy in Nicaragua at the request of the country's president, Daniel Ortega. Earlier this month, Pope Francis described Mr. Ortega's government as a dictatorship. Relations between the Catholic Church and Nicaragua's government began deteriorating 5 years ago when thousands of protesters took to the streets to demand Mr. Ortega's resignation. The church denounced human rights violations during the unrest in which some 300 protesters were killed. A man's died in police custody in the New South Wales Northern Rivers region. Police arrested the man at the casino showground following reports of an assault. They say a 48-year-old man assaulted police when they arrived. He became unconscious while in custody and could not be revived. The homicide squad's investigating and a report is being prepared for the coroner. A driver is facing a number of charges after a cyclist was seriously injured in Melbourne's inner southeast overnight. Zilla Gordon with the details.
Police say a Lamborghini was travelling along Chapel Street in Prahran just after 10:30 last night when its driver allegedly hit a 46-year-old cyclist who was crossing the road at the time. The man was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. A 14-year-old male passenger of the Lamborghini received minor injuries. A 24-year-old Sunshine West man, who police allege was driving the vehicle, has been charged with dangerous driving causing serious injury and reckless conduct endangering life. He's received bail and is due to face the Melbourne Magistrates Court in October.
And an Indian tennis player has become the oldest competitor to win an ATP Masters 1000 tournament. The 43-year-old Rohan Bopanna teamed with Australia's Matt Ebden to take the doubles title at the Indian Wells tournament in the United States. You're up to date with ABC News.
ABC Listen.
So, what's the craziest question you've ever been asked on the Dr. Carl podcast?
Well, Triple J listeners are pretty imaginative, so we've been asked questions like, why do men have nipples?
And what happens if you shoot a gun in space? And how do trees talk to each other? The answer, of course, is the Wood Wide Web.
Carl.
Dr. Carl and Dr. Lucy have all the answers on the Dr. Carl podcast. Find it on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Schultz runs around, Crouch on the mark, gained about 20 metres, slams it inside 50. Whistle, free kick, it's going the Dockers' way. And it's going to go to Taberner. 50 metres too, because I think Callum Wilkie might just have pointed the replay out to the umpire while he was standing the mark. So this is now a certain goal for Taberner, who kicks it from the top of the square. His first of the afternoon. Fremantle's third.
Ball jars free by Tell, puts it on his boot, straight up and down. Aish on the end of it. Did it go to 15? He's paid the mark. I'm not sure it went 15. I'm not sure he had enough of it, but either way, the umpire is content with it.
Oh no, he's done it again.
Oh, it's another 50. Aish will be marched to the goal square and bang it through. That hurts for the Saints. They're sinners at the moment. Ill discipline has cost them 2 goals. Saints come away with it. Kick inside 50. Philippou! The number 10 draft pick from last year's draft on debut. He takes the mark. 35 metres out directly in front. Teus Philippou on debut. On the left boot. He's welcome to the big time moment. His first goal in AFL footy.
Eventually got it by hand to Henry, kicks inside 50, but that's got to be a free. Was impeded when he was going for the ball. In fact, it's Tracy. Tracy 15 metres out, directly in front, should kick the goal. And he does. And we're right back where we started. 5-4, 34 apiece at half-time.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
I like the way Maisie put it. We're right back where we started. 5-4, 34 apiece. Scores level as we get set for the second half here on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming through the ABC Listen app as well. You can text in 0437 774 774. Milo and Wilbur are listening in, enjoying the coverage. Ben Boomer et al. Top call, listening on ABC Listen in Sydney. That's from Grant. Appreciate your SMS. Keep them coming. 0437 774 774. Now, one of the big threads before we return to the game this weekend has been whether the AFL can break the all-time record for fans in attendance in a round. Now, round 1, 2017, is the clubhouse leader, 4,401 fans. I'm trying to make sense of this press release they've sent in, but as I understand it, we need 39,751 across this game and the match between GWS and Adelaide. How many do you think are in here today?
Touch and go, isn't it?
It's going to be a close run thing.
I don't know. Is there 20 here?
Yeah, maybe. Right on it. Oh, it's hard, isn't it?
I reckon 21 here. 21, 22.
23.
I think they'll be counting the security guards, the hospitality staff,
the little leaguers.
Yeah.
Do we count in that?
No,
we scanned in.
Yeah, we count in that. You scanned in, didn't you, Boomer?
I
Or
did
did they
scan
just
in.
say, I know you?
No, I scanned in.
It's going to be close. I'm going to be very interested to see where we land. I think what might have hurt them as well, the fact they couldn't have a game in Perth this weekend because Ed Sheeran was only last week in Perth after he'd been at the MCG, and they probably would have got high 50s in Perth. That probably cost them.
Yes. This game's in Perth.
Oh, yeah. I went to the Ed Sheeran concert at the G too. Did you? It's a good little spectacle. Oh,
Singing
Ed.
along.
It was good. Yeah, absolutely.
Happy to give up the little... give up what we lose with the surface for Ed Sheeran to come to town?
For 1 week.
Yeah.
1 week. It wasn't terrible, was it? They were slippy.
Depends what Geelong say about that.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought even last night there was a lot of players.
Yeah, there was a lot of slipping.
Did you go to the Ed Sheeran concert, Sully?
I missed out on that one. My wife and daughter went to the Harry Styles, though.
Oh, yeah?
Wasn't he something?
Yeah.
A cultural icon.
Yeah.
He captivated everyone.
I'll tell you what I went to the other night. Rod Stewart.
Oh, wow.
So my mother-in-law absolutely adores him, and we brought her a couple of tickets for her birthday, and I think my wife might have slipped in another 2, so we went along with him. Beforehand, it was Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, Cyndi Lauper into Rod Stewart.
Into Rod Stewart.
There you go.
I tell you what, I felt young. He's still got it though, Rod. He's got an amazing voice. It was actually quite good.
5-4-34 apiece here. The big issue for Fremantle has been their inability to break down St Kilda. They've switched it, they've double switched it, they've kicked it around halfback, and the Saints have folded back and they've been unable to break them down so far. It may open up in the second half. What are we expecting?
The game's been played on St Kilda's terms so far. There's more upside in Freo's game. If they can transition the ball much more quickly through the middle part of the ground between the arcs, they've got a really strong forward line, Freo, and they just haven't been able to move the ball quickly enough to give themselves a genuine one-on-one chance forward of the ball. Spoken about Nat Fife, had absolutely no impact on the game whatsoever. Let's just throw him in the middle. Pinch hit for a couple of times, a couple of bounces. Let him get his hand on the ball, maybe up in the wing, high half forward, bring him up to the stoppage, just get him involved in the game a little bit more, Boomer.
Oh, I agree, and I think you can play him a little bit more. So Dustin Martin doesn't really go on a defensive 50. And that's the part of the ground he plays in. He plays from the top of the defensive 50 to the goal square. And I reckon Nate Fife has got the ability certainly to do that as well. But I would like the message from the Fremantle team, or coaches I should say, at halftime to be, still switch the ball, but when we switch it, go. Get one through on the 45, through the middle of the ground. If we can get a handball receive, he can get past the man in the mark only by a metre, and let's get the ball long into Taberner, into Fife, into these type of guys, and actually give them a chance. Because as you mentioned, it's not Fife's fault, but he's been starved at the football. So, but what St Kilda are doing super well, they're getting even with the ball. And I'm trying to paint the picture. They're getting even with the ball and letting Fremantle just switch. And they've had 73 marks. I'm not sure. Does that say how many uncontested marks they've had? But it would be a lot. So the big thing for me, and I've just written it down in red, can they maintain it, the Saints? Because when they do it, they slingshot the ball. If they can maintain it, they give themselves every chance in this game.
There's almost a little bit of Freo in 2015 about the way St Kilda are playing. I remember Freo used to all fall back. Remember they won the opening 9 games that year, and then it was like Ross would pull his slingshot and they'd fling it down the other end. Maybe not quite as quick as we've seen today, but it's not totally dissimilar. And we spoke about Ross squeezing it, every little last drop out of a list. Missing 9, he's doing it again.
You use the term the slingshot. I think they actually used to use the lack of bang terminology.
Did they? Yeah.
So the lack of bang comes in, and then you just go bang, and it's very similar to the slingshot that you're talking about.
Did you hear that while Prowse was running around pinching you, Boomer?
Well, no, not quite, but that's the terminology that they used to use back then, the lack of bang theory. So you're on the money there, Benny boy.
Yeah, very interesting with the way they're going about it. And can Fremantle find something in this second half? 0437 774 774 is our SMS line number. Boy, it could be a good first up week for the new coaches. How about that? Maybe Alistair Clarkson will start with a win in his Roos rebuild. Adam Kingsley come from behind, win at the Giants. Brad Scott has his team top of the ladder because they've won by the biggest margin so far in 59 points. And boy, would Ross Lyon love to enact some revenge on the administration that gave him his marching orders.
Are they all the first coaches there? Was there anyone else that actually didn't win, though?
No,
that was it. That was all the first coaches.
The first-time coaches. So
something
maybe a little sugar hit for all of these clubs. Just about set for the second half. Scores level 5-4-34 apiece. Jess Webster downstairs on the boundary. We'll get to her in a moment. But to get us started in the second half, you're with Andrew Mays here on Grandstand AFL.
All locked up at 5-4-34 apiece, heading into the second half, and we are underway. Darcy with the outside of his palm was able to get it down to Brodie, although he had a fumble. Now Marshall kicks the wrong side of the ball. He was supposed to kick a banana inside 50. He's kicked it as a snap, and it's out of bounds, only just forward of halfway.
If that was in the last 5 minutes of the game, that gets played deliberate every day of the week.
or in the back line.
He didn't mean it.
If he's kicking that out of the back line, I reckon the umpire's coming over and pinging him. From the stoppage, Burns, quick kick inside 50, it's touched, so Young's forced to play on, despite having thought he took the mark. Gives it very quickly in the end to Clark, and he doesn't really have much space to work with as he finds Schultz. Schultz inboard to Brodie, who was under pressure. He turns it over. Wanganeen Miller with a kick up towards centre-half forward. Good strong mark over the top. Alex Pearce, safe set of hands, goes into the middle with an attacking kick, and finally Freo away through the middle.
Chaining handballs together. Brayshaw just dumps it on the right boot. Kicks inside the attacking 50 for the Dockers. Frederick trying to get on it. Sinclair the other way. Good contest. Off hands and out of bounds. We'll get a throw in.
He's done some really hard things today, Sinclair. I haven't really watched him a lot live, and you look, he comes off half back. He's a great ball using. He looks pretty flashy, but you don't really put him down as that hard player. He's done some really, really good things today.
Scores level as they were at the half. Darcy in front, slaps it boundary side, going after it. Switkowski speeding away, zigzagging, breaking a tackle, kicking the goal. Wow. Wonderfully done by Sam Switkowski. Speeding along the boundary line, tiptoeing it and snapping the goal. Fremantle with the first of the second half. They're 6-4-40, St Kilda 5-4-34. We've played just under 2 minutes in the second half.
Wow.
That's terrific, wasn't it?
That's the speed that I was talking about before the game. They can do some stuff, the Fremantle forwards, and not a lot of other players can do in the competition, and he's certainly one of them. That was very, very good. That's a great goal.
Disappointing by Mason Wood just to allow Switkowski to get through and around. Just had to take the body, push him over the line.
He was rated by Champion Data as elite heading into last season, and a lot of people were quite surprised. And Justin Longmuir, who we spoke to pre-game, said at that point in time, I'm not surprised. He's a really, really good player, and a few more people starting to see it.
Darcy down as far as Aish, and he hand passes to Brodie. Kick inside 50. Chest mark was dropped by Taberner, allows the Saints in. Stocker on hands and knees, gets the hand pass away to Sinclair. 2 bounces through half back. Looping hand pass into the middle is good to Crouch. Now to Gresham by hand, who's running off half back. Switches play. It's a good one too. Wood can wheel around. Just pulled the kick nicely, and Owens is all on his own. 50 metres out directly in front.
Terrific transition off half back, wasn't it? Down the line, right across through the middle of the ground to the other side into the open space. And again, Saints lowered their eyes well. Mason Wood, instead of blazing along to the top of the square, found a short teammate.
Mitch Owens will start his approach from inside the centre square. He kicks from inside the centre square. It's a long one. It's out to the right. He's faded that. In fact, missed everything in the end in the search for extra distance. Out of bounds on the full. Margin still 1 straight kick in favour of the Dockers after 3 minutes. Jess Webster downstairs.
Michael Frederick has just headed down the race into the Freo rooms, looking like a left leg complaint. He went down with a couple of doctors, so I'll keep an eye on that and come back to you when I have more information.
Not good for the Dockers, as Cox kicks long towards the wing for them. No mark taken. Following up Jackson at ground level. Sarong handball towards Brayshaw. Can't quite gather it. Sarong goes in again. Has it pinned to him. The umpire will come in and ball it up. It's forward of halfway for the Saints on the City wing. Umpire puts it up, taking it out of the ruck. Marshall kicks inside, attacking 50, bouncing ball. Caminiti trying to gather it. The Dockers get back, swooping on a Clark. He'll chip it short. Mark taken in the defensive goal square by Ryan. Wants to go to right half back and spots up Wilson. Tidy kick. Fremantle with the only score of this second half. It was a goal to Switkowski. They lead by that margin. Wilson wants to switch it. Mark taken by Cox. Looks out towards the City wing. A little wide of Schultz. He can't gather it. And he lets Cox know what he thinks about it too. Little Schultz will get a throw in. City side of the wing. The City side of the ground. Here at Docklands, 6-4-40 to 5-4-34.
He's done that because it's so frustrating. They're going to play that switch game. You work so hard as a small forward to get out the other side of the ground. You expect your teammate to be able to hit a 35, 40-metre pass to you.
From the stoppage, Fremantle work around the boundary. Brodie has it now. Left half forward, kicks inside 50. Darcy snuck forward. He's all on his own. Takes it at 49 metres. Clark's all on his own at centre half forward. Drifted down. He takes the mark. A true centre half forward on the point of the centre square. Now, if he runs around the man on the mark here, he could go the distance. Instead goes the pass. Looking for Taberner, who is up. Couldn't complete the mark on the way down. Sinclair gets through a couple of tackles. Hand pass to Battle. Swooping out. Bus over the top. Just bounced away from Burns in the end. And it'll be out of bounds. 60 around from the Fremantle goal.
It's a really interesting kick, that one, Sully, because the ruckman Darcy there, he switches the ball, but then Clark doesn't play on or go, so it just allows that extra 5-6 seconds for the St Kilda team to get back in numbers.
Jackson in the ruck, brings it down in front. Now he's following up, gets a handball away, but the Saints are there. Able to pick it up is Burns. Has time, steadies, kicks down the wing, and the mark taken by Cox. No. He's taken high, though. He'll get a free kick. So Cox for the Dockers. Comes infield, dangerous kick. Electing to fist it away is Clark. It falls towards Sinclair for the Saints. They're quickly back the other way. Here's Hill. He'll send it out to right half forward. Mark taken by Gresham. Whacks it long. There's no one there. Chapman folds back and takes the defensive mark for the Dockers.
Poor kick from Gresham. Chapman on the way out. His kick just hung in the air for a little while, but Ryan's able to take it. Left back pocket, 5 metres inside the boundary.
You need to have a little bit more composure there, Gresham. Looked like he had a long shot on goal. If he had just waited, I reckon the St Kilda forwards would have hit back up at him. Would have been an easy kick for him.
Fife was the target over his head in the end. Still at ground level. Schultz onto it. He darts a short pass in to Darcy. Darcy doesn't really have too many tall targets forward except for Taberner. That's where he heads. He's matched up against two Saints. Henry, lovely roving hand pass to Schultz, snaps and delivers. He's second of the afternoon, and the margin is now 2 goals in favour of the Dockers. 3 in a row, 1 before half-time and 2 after the major break. The margin 2 straight kicks.
Long kick down the line, ball comes to ground. They're almost better off, Freo, when the ball does hit the deck. It cleared, first of all, Fife backward of centre wing. And then clever gather, clever finish. That chaos ball, Freo just look like they're much more in the game than they are when it's stop-start.
Stocker was the spare there for the Saints. He went back, didn't impact. I think I'm not saying he could have went any harder, but he probably needed to actually impact the contest, get the ball out of bounds and get it out of the area. But he just didn't do that, unfortunately.
Bounce back in the middle. Jackson rises over the top there of Marshall. There's a free kick amongst it all. It'll go to Sarong. Sarong feeds a handball to Wilson running by. Kicks long inside 50 for the Dockers. Looking for a marker. The Saints are there. Howard paddles to the boundary. Did he soccer it out on the full? No, it was already out. Jess Webster downstairs.
Michael Frederick is back onto the bench for Fremantle and just did a bit of a run along the boundary. Doesn't appear to be in too much distress and is sitting on the bench now, so I think he'll be back out into the game soon.
Dockers leading by 2 goals. Forward 50 stoppage. Trying to swat it to the back is Darcy. Getting in the back there of Steele is Schultz. Advantage paid as the Saints clear. And the mark taken by Cox. On the wing for the Dockers. He goes back into the middle of the ground and finds his mate in Ryan.
Ryan, wide to Clark, still inside the centre square. He goes the direct route. Jackson looking for a run, and there's a bit of a scuffle in back play. It was a free kick to Wilkie. Saints take the advantage. Wood now runs into a dead end. He's forced himself onto his right boot and turns it over immediately. Off to Hughes. His kick. He was dragged off it. Swikowski again. Got around one tackle. Off to Henry, who tried to duck one tackle. He was dispossessed. Crouch for the Saints. Hand pass to Butler. Now a hand pass to Marshall and inboard to Wanganeen Miller, who just slams it on the boot. It's Gresham v Ryan. One out in the cage. Ryan does exceptionally well. Reeled the ball in with his right hand. Kicked it out in front of Aish. Ball sits for him on the wing. Gets around two and then three players. Fires the hand pass to Wilson, who goes direct. Great last minute ball by Battle in front of Big Luke Jackson. Steele able to get onto the ball for the Saints. Hand pass to Wilkie with that left boot. That's a good kick. Kamini just didn't see it at the last moment. Aish got in front of him. Wilson took one on and took one on too many. He's up 50 metres, kicked away after the free kick it is. So the Saints are going to be marched all the way up to half forward here, possibly on the brink of 50. Mitch Owens had a shot from 60 earlier in this quarter, put it out of bounds on the full. Not sure his confidence will be all that high. It's not a bad 50 either. He can have a ping here from the paint if he wants to.
Hopefully he learns from his other one, because it was just on his range and he hooked it. So he needs to know his distance. He shouldn't miss this one right. Start it left, get it straight through.
He's about 10 metres closer this time. Owens comes in, it's out to the right again. In fact, it's going to fall short. It's kept in by the Saints intelligently. Fall of the ball. Hughes gets there, runs interference, and it's out of bounds in the right forward pocket.
So he really needs to know his distance there. I hate that as a spectator, or even as a coach watching a game. You got to know your distance. If that doesn't get marked, it gets punched through. Put it to the top of the goal score every day of the week if you don't know your distance.
Forward 50 throw in for the Saints. Swooping on it. Butler snapping towards goal across the face. A minor score. He was onto it like a flash. Just couldn't quite find the major opening. 11 points the Dockers' advantage. 11 minutes played in the second half.
Ryan. Short to Young, back to Ryan, who kicks towards the wing. Darcy up, just got a hand over the shoulder, took the advantage, played on. Schultz to right half forward, tapping with his outstretched hands, just took the mark. Frederick ran from the wing, inside 50, presents and dropped the mark after all that. It was a great effort to put on the Jets, create the space, and then couldn't quite complete the deal. It's out of bounds, right forward pocket for the Dockers. 11 points the margin in favour of Fremantle. They've kicked the only 2 goals of this third term so far. Swung back into play. Jackson. Oh, he's looking to tap it, and then he went the snapshot himself as he gathered. It's across the face for one behind. 7-5 Freo. 5-5 Saints.
Have you seen the ruck battle with Marshall v Darcy and a little bit of Jackson, Sully?
We haven't seen too much. It feels like we haven't seen too much of Jackson
in the ruck, just the forward sort of craft stuff.
He's looked dangerous when the ball's on the ground, funnily enough, at the forward line.
Yep.
But I like Darcy, just the big lumbering, and actually moves quite well when the ball hits the deck as well.
Saints trying to bring it dockside. Intercept mark taken by Pearce. So the Dockers get it back. Good 2 kicks from home. Just sets it up into the pocket in the Taberner direction. Fisted away by the Saints, coming through Clark. Able to get a handball away. Webster eventually gathers, gives it off to Stocker, swings onto his left boot, kicks back to the wing, and Cox again takes the intercept mark for the Dockers. This is his 16th mark of the contest.
Wow.
22nd disposal coming up. Kicks back into the forward pocket for the Dockers. Jackson nearly, not quite, knocked away as he went for the second bite. Burns onto it, jams it on the boot, skews off the side of it towards half-back and carried out by Hughes. And we'll get a throw in right at the elbow of 50 in the boundary line.
I like Burns' game today. Ryan Byrne, what's he had? 18 disposals. He's played well.
Ball in inside attacking 50 for the Dockers. Thrown back into play. It's a shallow throw in. Jackson and Cordy go at it. Jackson couldn't gather the bouncing ball, and then he's seen over the boundary line and out of bounds. Gets to his feet. And he'll run back and contest again against the former Dog. Cordy first to get to the fall of the ball. Thrown back in again, another shallow throw in. Jackson down to Frederick. Frederick looking for the hand pass. O'Meara out wider still. Brayshaw gets around one. Lovely use of his feet. Then kick inside 50. High mark there. Looked like Howard was going to take the mark over the top. Battle in front takes it for him. Hand pass across to Stocker and now to Burns. Off his left boot this time to absolutely no one. Fremantle with all the numbers. Ryan was going to go the hand pass inside. Instead went the kick. It bounces in front of Chapman. Now a chance for the Saints on the counter-attack. Gresham's learned his lesson. Didn't pull the trigger for goal. Ran laterally. Took his time. Kicked inside 50. Oh, steal. Spilled the mark at the last moment. Bad piece of communication with his teammate. Horrific turnover for the Saints. They were running almost into an open goal. Brodie has it now. He takes the tackler on. Just got the hand pass away. Another turnover. Steele, short kick. Owens takes a strong mark. 60 out from goal.
Wow. What a piece of play.
Well, the ball spills away from Owens. He'll have to go get it.
He's not going to have a shot from here, is he, Maisie?
No.
Surely not.
Not for the third time.
Mark said 55 metres out. He just sets it up this time, Boomer. Wants someone to run and jump at it. No one able to take the mark. Plenty of hands on it. Footy goes to ground level. They pile on. And we'll get a ball up. 25 out from the Saints' goal.
You want to use the lack of pre-season games as an excuse, but then you watch Friday night's game and the good teams don't need lots of practice games.
Dockers by 12 points. Both rucks with hands on it. Clearing kick for Brodie into the middle of the ground. Fife's there, shoves off his opponent, takes the mark, running bounce, look out. Wanganeen Miller are coming. The other way is Wilkie, and he's caught cold. Wilkie gets him, holding the ball. And the Saints stifle that Dockers attack.
Had nothing to kick to, the big fella, did he? Absolutely nothing.
Wilkie goes short to Webster, short to Clark, short to Wanganeen Miller in the middle of Docklands.
He wants to load up as well, goes as long as he can. Inside 50, mark taken, 20 out, no, yes. Advantage paid, it must have been a free kick. Anyway, Owens runs in and kicks the goal. You can't miss from 5 metres out. He's got his second. Saints get up and about. Their first of the second half. And it's come a long way in. We've played 16 minutes in this third term. And St Kilda moved to 6-5-41, 7-5-42, 7 the Dockers. And the Saints are right back in this.
Terrific pressure by the Saints. Run down that 5 centre-half back. And again, a sort of quick transition from there, straight down the middle of the ground. They weren't worried about switching, going wide, chewing up space. They went direct towards goal. And a clever finish. Well, easy finish in the end out the back, wasn't it?
It was the same player that did the defensive act for me that set up that goal, and that was Wanganeen Miller. Fantastic chase down on Fife, but then it was the ability to get the ball in the middle of the ground and just get past the man to mark. The man to mark can't move. You'll remember that. When you've got electrifying pace like he has, just go, and he did that, and he did it very well.
Owens the first multiple goal kicker for St Kilda. In the middle, winning it for the Dockers, Sarong. Tumbles a kick inside, attacking 50, but the Saints are there. And Webster goes upstairs and takes the mark. Gives off the handball to Hill, cruising by. Short kick to Crouch, defensive edge of the square, gives it back to Hill. Kicks out towards the wing, looking to try and get it to Wood. Chapman intercepts it. Now follows up at ground level. Higgins there too. Chapman picks it up for the Dockers. Handball to Young. Handball to O'Meara. Handball misses Young. Has to go and pick it up. He can't. Boundary wins. And a throw in on the City wing. And St Kilda, a threadbare St Kilda. 9 of their best 23 are out today with injury. And they're pushing a top 8 hopeful in Fremantle. 7-5-47 plays 6-5-41. 18.5 into the third.
Toss back into play. Darcy reaches over the top. Again, another hit out one, but no clearance yet for the Dockers. Aish, good handball in tight to Sarong, who gives it to Young, running off half back, and that's a good delivery too to right half forward. Schultz takes the mark to Henry, who can kick them inside 50, goes to the pocket. Jackson in a 2-on-1. Poor kick. Too wide, out of bounds on the full. Turnover ball. Saints have it all. Dicey kick inboard by Wilkie. Set Webster at task, and then Wilkie comes and kicks it again. Out of bounds on the full. 2 mistakes in a row. Oh, it's a reverse too. Webster and Wilkie were getting stuck into by Tracy on the way back. It's a bit unlucky.
It's a really bad call. So he's running back towards goal to try to make a play. Webster blocks him, and just because Tracy's bigger and stronger, knocks him over, and he gets a free kick back. That's a terrible call.
I agree with you.
Daniel Hansen picked that out. Cox takes another mark. Mark number 18 for him today. Goes to Young. He moves it across to Chapman. He'll come back towards the dock side of the ground and spot up Cox. He goes short to Darcy. Dockers lead by a goal. Nearly 20 minutes played in the third. Saints trying to take them into deep water here on this Sunday twilight.
Are they just trying to take the sting out of the game here, Sully? Because they've been okay this quarter, but now they've just gone back to that first quarter chip around. St Kilda are happy for them to have this. That's their sixth uncontested mark in a row now.
Every St Kilda player has forwarded the ball.
Tick over 100 marks. The Dockers, here's Chapman. He'll send the Dockers towards half forward. Pack forms, off hands, down in front. Stocker to Crouch to Wood. Wood will kick back around the city wing. Oh, the mark taken there by the little man in the end, Higgins. He kicks inside attacking 50. Fisted away by Clark for the Dockers. Young goes and mops it up, gets a handball back to Clark. A little fumble, handball to Chapman. Chapman forward handball to Wilson. And now the Dockers can go down the middle.
And he can push the accelerator if he wants. Hand pass over the top to Brodie instead. He goes further afield to O'Meara into the pocket. Darcy doesn't get there. Marshall slips over. Luckily for the St Kilda big man, ball trickled out. Boundary throw in left forward pocket.
Both sides have had their chance going forward into that connection into forward 50, and just that fatigue have let themselves down.
Yeah, it was a great mark, wasn't it? But then a poor kick. Who was that? That was Jack Higgins.
Bit of a pause here too for a blood rule as Wilkie trots off. Umpire not in any hurry to get him off the field.
We can go back to that call, Maisie, from that umpire, if I can. Tracy's running back to goal. Webster wants to show physicality and block him from going back to goal, and he just keeps going. And yeah, maybe accelerates for the last two steps, but so he should.
Yep.
Puts him on his backside, and then they reverse the ball from the other end. He's making a play. He's going back to goal. He's resetting. Exactly what his coach wants him to do.
He was a bit stiff on that occasion. Ball will be tossed back into play. Deep in the St Kilda forward, in the Freo forward line rather. Darcy out of the ruck, flying shot towards goal. Stocker happy enough to see it across for a boundary throw in next to the left behind post. Ball to be tossed in again. 6 points the margin in favour of Fremantle. 22 played, third term here on Grandstand AFL.
Umpire alongside the behind post. Brings it back in. Darcy tries to flick it to the back. Sinclair onto it. Snaps across his body outside the defensive 50, but out of bounds on the full. So the Dockers will get it. The mark set 60 metres out. Henry to take the kick. Can he find a target inside 50 here for Freo? He'll just set it up towards full forward. Fife is down there. Doesn't get a run at it. Comes down to Fife. Jams it on the boot and misses. His little snap from the top of the goal square is across the face slightly. A minor score to the right-hand side.
That's his first touch of the quarter, 5-2.
Fremantle out by 7 points. Jess Webster downstairs.
Looks like St Kilda are about to activate their sub. Ben Patton is going to come into the game. Dan Butler has taken a seat on the back of the interchange bench. He doesn't look to be in too much trouble or distress, so it might be a tactical sub they're making here.
So the ball out of play now. Forward of centre wing for Fremantle. Thrown back into play. Good work by Marshall on that occasion to wrestle Jackson out of the way. He's kicked blind forward though. Straight to Pearce, who got the hand pass to Chapman. Not a great hand pass to Sarong, who was under all sorts of pressure. No prior opportunity. He's helped to his feet. The ball up right on the AFL logo. 48 plays 41, 23 played. Freo with the lead. Crouch tries to wrestle his way out of a tackle. Ball spills free eventually to Hill, who puts the afterburners on. Two bounces through the middle, then looks to deliver inside 50. Higgins with the one arm, couldn't reel it in. Now a chance for Freo, who soccer it away only as far as Steele. He'll look for the pass inside 50, goes to the pocket. Young, great contested mark. Was able to reach over the top of Higgins on that occasion. And he takes the relieving defensive mark, right back pocket.
Love watching Brad Hill do that. You would have seen it pretty closely, Sully. He probably could have won another bounce and had a shot, to be honest with you.
Long kick beyond defensive 50. Saints at the fall of the ball. Sinclair, handball to Howard. Back feed to handball to Crouch. It goes further back to Battle. Now Battle drives them back inside 50. A long kick. Young goes up again. Through his hands, but Wilson's there. Gives it off to Brayshaw. Kicks the Dockers back to the wing. High ball from all angles. Hughes and Webster collide. Hughes lands like a cat. Gathers the footy. Gives it off to Switkowski. Kicks around the corner for 5. Bouncing ball. Clean bowls him. Out the back. Howard will get back. Mops up inside the defensive 50 for the Saints. Just stands there like a statue momentarily. Stabs it short to Sinclair. Fremantle by 7 points. Webster still a little sore. Back behind play.
Sinclair out wide to Burns, who takes the mark meter inside the boundary. As Webster hobbles off, holding his ear, his knee. We'll get down the chest for an update. Long now by Burns, who goes forward. No mark taken by the Saints. They do have numbers at ground level. Wilkie off the left boot. Stabs a kick inside 50 out the back. Wood almost scot-free. And coming across, that should be deliberate if the one's called in the first quarter. It wasn't.
There you go, Maisie. That's the one. Got to be consistent with it.
Agree.
That could be the problem with the 4 umpires, though, isn't it? Just their different interpretations of rules. Because that's exactly the same as the first quarter one.
Yep, absolute carbon copy. St Kilda fans can feel a little aggrieved at that decision. Boundary throw in from the stoppage. Burns again onto it. High kick. It'll fall at the top of the square. Going back with a flight. Cox. Wonderful spoil. In fact, is it going to be a free? No. It is out of bounds. Next to the right behind post. A chance for the Saints. Deep inside attacking 50. They trail by 7. 26 played third quarter on Grandstand AFL. Here's Ben Cameron.
Can they close again? From the throw-in, Darcy knocks it down. Clearing kick for the Dockers. Out towards the 50. Beyond it, in fact, and off hands and out of play. Will Brody clearing it, and we'll get a throw-in between wing and right half forward here for St Kilda.
Just the Saints' last couple of inside 50s have gone long and high, but the problem is it's been Gresham, Mason Wood and Jack Higgins underneath the ball.
King would be handy down there, wouldn't he?
Absolutely.
Darcy lays it down in front. Brody onto it. Ace snaps around the city wing. Trying to find a target in Tracy. Spoiled down, and Wanganeen Miller onto it for the Saints. Gives it off to the sub Patton. Then a high kick towards half forward. Big fly coming from Owens. There's a push. Advantage St Kilda. They take it. Trying to get on the end of it is Gresham. Handball away to Wood. Stops, props, snaps on his right, hits the woodwork.
Bad bounce, I think, too.
He got the wrong and he needed the leg break. Oh, one straight kick is the margin.
Fremantle away quickly as well. Wilson through the middle of the ground, gets it to Taberner. Taberner out wide to Henry. He's at right half forward, has a hand pass on over the top. In fact, he's going to kick it instead. Switkowski takes it. 60 from goal, looking for the perfect pass inside 50. He's happy to hold things up. Lots of players in front of him here. It's hard to see any gaps, so he just puts it low to the top of the square and an uncontested mark.
That's the problem, mate. They've been happy to hold that kick up all the time. If he turns and uses his legs, they can go, and you get one-on-ones everywhere instead of a 3-on-1 sometimes.
Patton the sub. Out wide now to Owens, who takes the mark at left half back. Jess Webster.
Jimmy Webster's headed down into the Saints' rooms with the doctor checking out his left ear. Now, this is one of the talking points of the medical sub, or the sub rather, is that they've used it for a tactical reason. A minute later, they're going to play it injured.
Higgins sends the Saints inside attacking 50. An awkward bounce of the ball. Favours Gresham. The Dockers come to cover and they knock it out. Was it deliberate? No, throw it in. What about Jay Webster providing an update on Jay Webster too? Throwing in the left forward pocket. Dockers lead by a goal. On the knock of three-quarter time. Darcy hits it back boundary side. Young can't quite pick it up. Burns goes after it. Gresham tries to dribble a kick forward. The Dockers are there. Clark will jam it on the boot. Kick smothered. Good desperation there from Jack Steele, Saints captain, trying to set the tone. And another throw in. Can the Saints find a late goal and level the scores again as they were at the half?
29 played, third term. Kick from Bytel to the top of the square. Wood muscled out of it on that occasion, and Cox again.
Mark number 20.
He's good, hasn't he? Marking everything.
It's the mark record.
Short. And he finds Ryan. Might be someone like Joel Bowden in one of those games, I reckon, where he racked up all the uncontested grabs. Long kick by Ryan to right, half back. No mark taken. Off the pack. Read well by Hill. And pass to Howard, who kicked an absolute floater off his shin. Didn't travel more than 20 metres to Henry, who goes inboard. Ball turned over, not quite. Free kick against Crouch. Brayshaw with it. Crowd doesn't like it. Brayshaw looking out wide. He finds Ryan, who's come up to help. Ryan on halfway towards Taberner, who presents and takes a mark. He's got a space here on his opponent, Howard, for the first time this afternoon. Taberner kicks inside 50 to the top of 50. Switkowski there, no one on him. He kicks inside 50 again. And Henry drifts into the right forward pocket and takes the mark uncontested.
In the scheme of the games, this is a really, really important kick with... I was probably going to kick after the siren again to give them a 2-goal lead, because I feel St Kilda are the ones that are on top.
They have been, absolutely.
Yeah, if you didn't look at the scoreboard, you'd think the Saints are winning this game.
Liam Henry, 5 metres inside the boundary, kicks towards goal. It's across the face and it's slapped through for one behind, in fact by the Dockers, so it won't count at all. 7-7-49, play 6-6-42 at three-quarter time. We are going right down to the wire here on Grandstand AFL. 7 points the margin in favour of the Dockers. The goal kickers, Lockie Schultz, the only multiple goal kicker for the Dockers. He has 2, 1 each to Aish, Taberner, Frederick, Tracy and Switkowski. Meanwhile, for the Saints, 1 each to Gresham. Owens has 2, in fact. And 1 each to Gresham, Higgins, Bytel and Philippou on debut.
So the top 4 hopefuls, the final hopeful Fremantle Dockers, are in life and death with whatever's left of St Kilda, with 9 of their best team missing. A final term full of intrigue is coming up here at Docklands. The Dockers lead by 1 straight kick as we pause at three-quarter time. This is Grandstand AFL.
Simone Young is one of the most talented conductors of her generation.
When I started, I faced considerable opposition.
Executive producer Kate Blanchett takes us into the world of one of our greatest conductors.
In 1991, there were no women conductors.
What does being a woman have to do with conducting?
She's not afraid to just be a boss.
Simone Young, Knowing the Score.
It is magic.
Tuesday, March 21st on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Darcy in front, slaps it boundary side, going after it. Switkowski speeding away, zigzagging, breaking a tackle, kicking the goal. Wonderfully done by Sam Switkowski. Speeding along the boundary line, tiptoeing it and snapping the goal.
Darcy doesn't really have too many tall targets forward, except for Taberner. That's where he heads. He's matched up against 2 Saints. Henry, lovely, roving hand pass to Schultz, snaps and delivers. He's second of the afternoon, and the margin is now 2 goals in favour of the Dockers. Goes as long as he can. Inside 50, mark taken, 20 out, no, yes. Advantage paid, it must have been a free kick. Anyway, Owens runs in and kicks the goal. You can't miss from 5 metres out. He's got his second. Saints get up and about. They're first of the second half. That's come a long way in. We've played 16 minutes in this third term.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Great to have your company here on Grandstand AFL, as you heard there, now on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the AFL button, you'll be able to listen to all of the action. 0437 774 774 is the number if you wish to get involved here on Grandstand AFL this afternoon. Most marks in a game. We're asking the question because Brennan Cox, through to three-quarter time, has recorded 20. The record is an equal record between Greg Park of Melbourne in 1970 and Brian Lake, a former teammate of yours, but while he was at the Western Bulldogs, with 24 as well.
Oh, stiff. Joel Bowden was third with 23.
23. So you were close, Maisie. I'll pay that.
Yeah, well done.
On the podium. So, gee, he's a live chance, isn't he? He's on pace.
Oh, he's on pace.
Well and truly on pace.
What's he average? Going at about 6 point something a quarter. Yeah. So he gets that, he wins.
I mentioned Fremantle. They're hopeful of playing a significant role in finals this year, but all of a sudden, St Kilda are taking them into deep water. It's a little bit like Al Davis of the Raiders in the NFL. Just win, baby. They've just got to win from here, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. This is a game that they would have penciled in at the start of the year, especially if you're coming up against St Kilda in the first 4 or 5 rounds. You'd be saying that's a win for it's not a win, but it's you pencil those ones in, Sully, because they're the games you must win. If you want to be a top 4 team, this is a no-brainer. This is something that Fremantle just needs to get done. Yes, it's a travel, but they've travelled okay last year, in the last couple of years, I think. So this is one that they should just tick off. But it's not going to be that easy. The Saints, again, if they can finish off, I think the scoreboard, take the scoreboard away. I thought the Saints were better that quarter.
Let's take nothing away from St Kilda. They've been terrific today. For the most part, the game has been played in their terms. Fremantle, a bit lucky to be in this position. The second quarter, they were gifted 2 goals, arguably soft free kicks in their forward half. But Saints pressure through the middle part of the ground, slowed up Fremantle in transition. What we thought was going to be one of Freo's strengths pre-game, midfield and their forward line. Well, forward line have had little to no impact. Because of Saints' pressure in and around the ball through the middle part of the ground, the midfield of Freo that we thought was going to dominate hasn't necessarily been the case.
Yep, no, I totally agree with that. They've done a fantastic job, the Saints, and, Crouch. I've really liked Ryan Burns' game on the wing. He's getting back to support. He's getting forward. He kicks the ball really well. I've really liked him. Sinclair off half-back's been a good player. Jack Steele. They're actually getting their hands on the football. The only thing I mentioned late in that quarter, the last 3 or 4 entries that St Kilda went in, they had the smalls in Gresham. Mason Wood's a marking player, but he's not a tall. And of course, Little Higgins down there who took 1 good mark, but they needed tall to compete, bring the ball to ground, so those little guys can actually go to work.
Well, those entries hadn't been to the advantage of their smaller players. They've been long, high kicks, and of course, plays into the hands of somebody like Cox, who's just been able to clunk everything.
You'd prefer the old torpedo along the ground, wouldn't you? And give Gresham a chance against these guys.
So just about set for the final term. Fremantle leading by 1 straight kick. Ross Lyon against his former club. Can he pull an opening round upset? Winning the tap down is Darcy towards Luke Jackson, who was starting as an on-baller, which I asked the coach about pre-game. He said unlikely. Schultz able to gather, gives it off to Hughes, kicks the Dockers inside attacking 50, Fife launching, 2 hands to it, doesn't complete the mark. Now trying to get involved at ground level, Brayshaw knocks it out to Frederick, gathers on the attacking edge of the square, then loses it. Saints come up with it. Steal away to Sinclair, kicks around the edge of the square, over the head of his target, Wood, getting back Ryan, mops up, goes back to Wilson, the Dockers have it. He'll kick laterally and Pearce can mark.
Pearce, short, finds Clark, who takes the chest mark. Just outside of his defensive 50. Flares it out wider still. Who will get this crucial first goal in this final term? Young. Out wide. Nice pass. He finds Aish again. Fremantle quite slow and deliberate in their build-up. Plenty of players behind the ball here for the Saints. Strong mark by Darcy. Good contested mark. 60 out from goal. And he just holds things up as well. Now goes inside 50. Getting back with a flight, Jackson. Punched away from him. Hand pass by the Saints in the direction of Howard. Now Crouch forced to snap outside of the immediate danger. Only as far as Ryan, though. The wall was set up. It's coming back in. What can Fremantle muster here? Short by Ryan to Brayshaw. Left half forward. He'll get to the point of the centre square, then kick a low ball. Darcy almost came down with it, not quite. Hand pass by Marshall out in front of Battle. He goes wider still. Burns pushed off his kick. It's going to hug the boundary line. In fact, it's going to be out of bounds on the full. Another chance for Fremantle. A couple of repeat entries here. They lead by a goal. 2-play final term.
The old commentator's curse pumped him up for his kicking. Next ball he gets goes out on the full. Fantastic.
Sarong with the kick. Waits it towards the top of the goal square. Looking for a marker. No one there for the Dockers. Wanganeen Miller up. Dumps it on his right boot. A high ball beyond defensive 50. Cox spoils. Sarong roves. Fremantle can go back inside 50 here. They won't. Handball to Hughes. Handball to Sarong. Now Ryan will kick them back inside 50. High ball towards the pocket. Coming across. The mark has been taken or paid at least. Carl Wilkie will have it for the Saints.
That's 7 inside 50s to 1 this quarter. Fremantle just peppering them. Got to get a clearance now, the Saints.
Centering ball by Wilkie. It was well done by Crouch to gain a few metres, then give it to Wanganeen Miller, who's off. 2 bounces inside 50. Poor kick. It was Gresham v Pearce. Gresham, with all due respect, was no chance.
And that's what Sully was talking about. That kick that can't go in the air to Gresham. That's got to go out. And if that bounces once or twice, that's fantastic. Gresham's going to turn Pearce inside out every day of the week.
Pearce kicks short to right half back. Mark taken by Young.
Young kicks towards the City wing. Jackson trying to get in position. Can't take the mark. Wilkie's there for the Saints. Gets a little handball away. Doesn't clear the congestion though. Now Crouch. Feeds it out towards Marshall. Puts it on his left boot. Able to find a target in Gresham, who goes for a little run. Kicks towards full forward. Phillippo going back with the flight. The Dockers spoil it away. Clark will get to the fall of the ball. Just beats his opponent to it. Handball. Bad bounce there for Hughes. Now the Saints win it back. Here's Phillippo. Away to Wood. Time to steady. And snap the goal! The Saints draw level with the Mason Wood snap. And just like that, it's 7-6, 48 apiece. 4 minutes into the final term on Grandstand AFL. Brent Harvey and Brad Sewell.
And that's part of the blueprint there. Although Gresham played on quickly from the mark outside 50, when he put the ball up high, it allowed the St Kilda forwards at least to bring the ball to ground. When the ball was on the deck, zipping around, pressure, looked like Clark was going to get out. Saints just did enough to keep the ball bobbling around. And Mason Wood, we know how dangerous he is on his left side in that forward 50, and Boomer, he finished well.
He certainly did, and that's what he wants. He wants the ball on the left foot, and he practices that a lot, the left foot snap. It's a beautiful kick, but he does practice that, and I'm not sure which St Kilda player gave him the ball, but identified it was on his left foot. It was a fantastic handball as well.
Jess Webster downstairs.
A bit happening down on the bench, guys. Jimmy Webster has come to the bench in the rooms with a left quad, potentially a corker. He looks in a bit of trouble. Of course, Saints have already used their sub for tactical reasons, so there may be a player down. Also, Fremantle have activated their sub. Jordan Clark out of the game. Bailey Banford in.
Still inside 50. Pearce with some strong contact on Owens there. No free kick given. Lovely follow-up by Owens and great smother. Pearce now hand pass over the top, then goes the tackle. And he sees the ball out at the top of his defensive 50.
That's what you're talking about, Sully. There's that Saints pressure. When the ball's bobbling around, really hard to exit the pressures like that. They've gone to another level, the Saints, in this first 4 or 5 minutes.
We're even after 5 minutes in the last quarter. It's been close all day. Toss back into play. Winning that one down was Marshall. He followed up. Could have been a throw. It was. Couldn't get his right hand to the footy and just threw it to his teammate. So it'll be Darcy with the free kick for the Dockers at left half back.
So Darcy with it at left half back. Kicks towards Tracy on the wing. Schultz bobs up in front and takes the mark. Fife was slipping out the back. He comes infield instead. Finds Sarong. Handball away to Wilson. Dockers chaining it up through the middle. Here's Chapman, his kick charged down. Henry attacks the footy, gathers well, sweeps a handball out to Ryan, has it at right half forward, handball to Chapman, handball away to Aish, 48 out, sets sail towards goal. Hughes will get to the line, he launches at the footy off his fingertips. Through for a behind. Too early for a handy point, but it does give the Dockers the lead. 7-7 49 to 7-6 48.
Straight up the middle with the kick in as well. It is a good one. Mark taken by Bartel rather. Bartel a fair player as well. Kicks out wide. Mark taken by Wood. Wood just pauses on the footy for the time being. It hung in the air, his pass. Luckily got over the head of Henry. Dispossessed for a moment was Sinclair. Good enough to regather. Kicks high inside 50. Couple of players out the back and one mark not quite. Brayshaw got there front and centre. Snapping the goal is Gresham. And St Kilda have the lead. 5 points the margin with his second of the afternoon. We've played 7 minutes in this final term on Grandstand AFL. Your experts Brad Saul and Brent Harvey.
Saints just have to bring the ball to ground there, forward 50. Again, just looks so dangerous. The ball bobbling around 15, 20 metres out directly in front. Their small forwards are so good in front of goal.
I totally agree. And when that's Gresham's second goal now. That ball, we harped on it and you said it. Bring the ball to ground, get a contest, bring the ball to ground. No smalls will go to work. You have a look at Fremantle's back line. Cox has taken 20 marks. You got Pearce, who's very tall. Ryan, who's very agile for a tall guy. Young, very tall as well. They've only got Jordan Clark playing down back that's probably 182 centimetres. Everybody else is above that. So bring the ball to ground and you're a massive chance.
The Saints have kicked the last 3 goals. Can Fremantle come again? Loose footy in the middle. From the restart, trying to get involved is Clark, unable to get it out. Getting involved though, Hunter Clark kicks the Saints inside attacking 50. Gresham paddles, tries again. Now Jordan Clark picks it up for the Dockers. Handball to Young, handball away to O'Meara, back to Pearce, and a clearing, relieving kick out towards left half back. Mark taken by Ethan Hughes. Saints leading by 5 points, 8.5 minutes into this final term. Chapman at left half back. He'll kick towards the wing in the Darcy direction. Tries to lay it down almost to himself. Fife goes in. Trying to burst through his pattern. His gang tackle, Jess Webster.
Just confirming that Fremantle's sub was Bailey Banfield in and Matt Taberner is out. I did say Jordan Clark before, so my apologies, but Taberner is out. I'll suss out if he's injured or not, but he doesn't appear to be in too much discomfort, so I'll check it out.
St Kilda with the advantage. Filippo on his left, almost found Hill. It bounced in front of him. Time to regather. Could have pulled the trigger towards goal. In fact, goes to the first gamer. Caminiti didn't quite take the mark. Got the hand pass away. Wood with another snap and another goal. Oh, the Saints are rolling now. 9-6-60. Fremantle 7-7-49. Mason Wood has his second, both coming in the last term.
What are you going to say? You going to say it, Sully, or me?
You go, Burma, your turn.
Bring the ball to ground. We've said the last 3 goals, it's been exactly that. That's that slingshot play that we're talking about, the kick that goes back through the middle. Compete there, get the ball to ground. Mason Wood on his left foot, snap again, beautiful. Saints are all over him at the minute.
Gee, this would be something. All 4 of the new coaches would be up for round 1 wins.
And you called it very early in the piece, too. I reckon that was in the first half you called that.
This would be big.
This would be big.
Well, Ross Lyon to get one over those who frog marched him out. Umpire lays it down. Jackson in the ruck for the Dockers. Wins the tap down. Brayshaw soccers it forward. Bouncing ball for Frederick. Jackson might be able to follow up. Brody beats him to it. Crosses the 50. 45 out. Needs to finish for the Dockers. He sends David Roden scurrying to his right. It's a behind. A minor score. 10 points the margin. 10.5 minutes into the 4th quarter.
Kick-in duties with Wanganeen-Miller. Plays on. Goes long and flat as long as he can. Young reaching over the top in a mismatch there with Higgins. Always look comfortable from behind there. Young can pump them back inside, attacking 50. Lovely low kick to the lead of Fife, who takes it on his chest.
That is disappointing from St Kilda. A really slow in-out play by Freo, and you shouldn't be given that much time and space. The leading lane was wide open for Fife to roll into. Clever kick put into space, and there's no defending that for St Kilda.
Nat Fife, just 6 possessions this afternoon. And this remodelled role as a forward needs to kick them when they count too. In he comes. 48 out. It's not working back quite enough. In fact, it didn't have the journey in the end, and it smashed through for another rush behind. So the margin back to 9 points in favour of the Saints. 11 played, final term.
9 points, that advantage. Wanganeen Miller short to Stocker in the right back pocket. He'll go with the low ball and find a target there in Burns. Marks in front of Cordy. At right half back. Oh, kicks into the man on the mark. That's sloppy. Out of play it goes. A throw in between wing and half forward for the Dockers. Hi guys, great to watch the start of the season, seeing how the new coaches go. Good to hear Sewell and Harvey in commentary. That's from M from Melbourne. And Basil, he says, great to hear the Saints fans in full voice. Gresham, a great stand-in for Billings. Umpire throws it in over the head of the rucks. Jackson tries to spike it forward. But arriving is Phillippo. His handball errant though, off to Sarong. Clark spikes it forward for the Dockers. Now a tackle applied by Banfield, the sub on the ground. And we'll get a ball up.
There's cramping going on in the centre of the ground, Mason Wood. Been working hard all day up and down the wing.
Saints lead by 9 points.
Knocked inside, attacking 50 for the Dockers, but it's Burns who gets the quick kick out of there, only as far as Ryan on halfway. Ryan looking for Frederick out wide. It'll pitch in front of him. He gathers, right half forward, delivers just inside 50. In fact, it's over the head of Henry. Mark Spilt, though, he's onto it. Hand passes inside, only as far as Wilkie. Hand pass to Hill, who gets around one, works the 1-2 with Stocker. Wasn't a great hand pass, back to Hill, turns it over. Henry, off to Jackson. Important goal, and he misses. Should have swallowed that opportunity. He was 25 out, slide angle, snap, too far across the face. And the margin is 8 points in favour of the Saints. 13 played last quarter.
Few tired boys out there now.
Short kick in from Wanganeen Miller up. The back pocket and a long kick coming from Patton towards the wing. Cordy dumps it on his boot, kicks towards neutral territory, getting a hand in Jackson, keeps it in play. Owens chips it short to Caminiti. Now they're tracking quickly down this dockside wing. Caminiti goes high and long inside 50. O'Meara going back with the flight, can't take the mark, spills to Phillippo. Out the back, his handball. Cool bounce for Gresham. Frederick trying to mop up for the Dockers. Handball away to O'Meara. And then to Geordie Clark, who kicks towards the wing for Schultz. Getting back Burns. He fists it out. And neutral ball will get a throw in on the wing. Grandstand AFL and a grandstand finish. St Kilda out by 8 points. Nearing the quarter hour mark here in this final term.
They led by 8 points at quarter time. It was even at half time, and they were a goal down at 3/4 time. Toss back into play. Now Sarong onto it. Hand pass to Aish. Almost caught by Crouchaw. Sold into trouble was Young. Tried to turn. Should be holding the ball. And he's cooked. Big tackle here from Cordy. And now a chance to put St Kilda beyond the 2-goal margin. 9-6-60, 7-10-52 the Dockers. This to take it to 14 points.
A lot of players now doing the cold calf stretch while there's the goal getting lined up for. So the pickle juice, as we mentioned.
Cordy from 48 out, lays into it. It's coming back and it's home. And the Saints are getting close. 10-6-66. The Dockers 7-10-52. Margin 14 points, and Cordy's first goal as a Saint, an important one at that.
Am I right in saying they've kicked the last 5 goals?
Yep.
5 goals, the Saints. We mentioned, Sully, that the brand of football St Kilda were playing is going to be very taxing, but if they can maintain it, they give themselves a chance. Well, they've certainly done that. They've kicked the last 5, so looks like they're running on top of the ground. And when you get your end up and you kick a couple in a row, and as you can see the finish line, you do go a little bit harder when you're in front, don't you?
You certainly do.
So the man on the interchange bench here is holding up a sign of a boat.
Set sail.
The ship sail. Well, the ship has sailed. Hurry up, get the goals.
From the restart, Marshall gets it on the bounce. Handball out to Hunter Clark, just tackled by Switkowski as he kicks. Bouncing ball at half forward. here for the Saints. Young goes in and wins it. Out to Sarong. Handball away to Henry. Look out, Hill chasing. Handball to Brayshaw. Handball to O'Meara. Dockers quickly up the middle, looking for Schultz. Spoiled away from him. Switkowski can't gather first time. Goes the second time. And he'll get a free kick. He'll get a free kick. They need goals and they need them quickly, the Dockers. Banfield wants it deep. Switkowski goes into the pocket. Jackson just a little over his head. Did he get a little nudge? No. Ball trickles out. And throw in right forward pocket. The Saints by 14 points. 17 minutes and change into the fourth term. Oh, Ross Lyon, he'll enjoy this.
Toss back into play. Time becoming a bit of an issue for Freo. Smack back towards the boundary line. Fredericks there. Couldn't gather the ball. Came off his boot towards goal. Battle with a dicey hand pass across the face. It's okay though. Kick comes the way of Young in the end, who intercepts again over Higgins. And he has it 55 from goal. Now, if he ran around the man on the mark here and gained that extra couple of metres, he could almost go the journey. It's a very crowded forward line. Keeps it low, goes to the top of the square. It's all Saints. At ground level, though, it's all the Dockers. Hand pass comes to space. O'Meara paddles it in front of himself. Missed Sarong with the initial hand pass, who had to go back and clean up. Now Sinclair for the Saints. High kick. It'll be called to play on. Push in the back. Young was a little careless coming in from the side there. In fact, it was Tracy, and the free kick going the way of the Saints. It's not a great kick to Batten, who bats it over his head. Intelligent in the end. Got it to Burns, who turned it over. Back to the top of 50. Schultz to Tracy. He overkicked he overhand passed the ball rather over his head, and the Saints are able just to settle things down. Wanganeen Miller takes the ball right back pocket.
They're still going quick, the Saints. There's no need for it. They don't, with 7 or 8 minutes to go, they can actually take the sting out of the game. Fremantle are going to have to kick it 2 goals to be even with them, so 3 goals to win the game. They can settle the game down now. They need to be in a different mode of football.
Saints by 14 points. Attendance here today, 23,429. We'll wait for a final attendance. A free kick from the throw-in. And the free kick is going to go the way of Marshall for the Saints. He'll kick towards Owens on a searching lead. Through his hands, Ryan at the back for the Dockers. Dumps it on the boot. Will kick towards Tracy. Roving in front, Switkowski met heavily by Marshall. Mismatch there. Sarong dumps it on the boot. Inside attacking 50. Frederick caught behind. He tries to hold up Wanganeen Miller. Soccering it out Banfield. Eventually the ball comes out. Patton away to Howard. The Saints escape. Wood goes short.
Higgins a long way from home. Takes the mark. Chip over the top is good.
Hit the spare. Take the sting out of the game. Just 2 more minutes.
Steele has it behind centre wing. Hill presents short. Ignored. And he kicks it along the boundary line. Oh, up high. Was caught. He couldn't take the mark. St Kilda at the numbers at ground level. Marshall got a quick hand pass in the direction of Gresham, who hooks it back over his shoulder inside 50. Young able to get the spoil in. Now Pearce at ground level does the roving. Hand pass to Henry, was looking for the return run. Didn't come. Had to retreat even further by hand to Young, who just blasts it forward. No mark taken in the contest. Couple of Saints outnumbered Jackson. Hand pass comes for the way of Frederick, who keeps his feet importantly. He's out at right half forward. Couple of options inboard. He's going to go for home himself, Frederick. All the way to the line. It's marked right on the goal line by Battle, who saw that coming. Takes the relieving mark for the Saints. He chips into the right back pocket. Good pass too. Patton takes the mark, the sub. 14 points the margin. St Kilda are up.
Time quickly becoming an enemy as much as the scoreboard for the Dockers. What a round 1 slip up this will be. Higgins kicks towards the wing. Off hands out of play. Throw in on the wing. Fremantle running out of time.
Owens has been really good. Just his contested work today. He's only playing his 8th game of football. Contested really well.
Dockers' top 4 ball winners, all defenders.
Tells you something right there, doesn't it? How many marks Cox had?
He's on
20 still. Hasn't taken one.
20. Saints win the footy on the wing. Steele, accidental spiral around the boundary line. Young able to gather for Fremantle. Handball to Geordie Clark. Look out, almost run down, just gets his kick away to Pearson. They've got to take it on the Dockers. What can the captain do? He goes up the middle to Banfield.
Banfield looking to go quickly, although there's not too many options. Fife presents. He's still at right half forward in his own. Finally, he's found. He needs to turn and go quickly as well, Fife.
Saints have done this well all day. Got back, clogged up the space.
Every St Kilda player in front of him at the moment. It's a crowded half. So he's forced to go wide instead. Chapman has the ball. Right half forward. Short kick. He just made its way to Fife, who's still at right half forward. He can hammer this inside 50. Not a lot of movement. He's looking centrally. He just decides to pop it in there and try his luck. Marshall with a big spoil over the top towards the boundary line. Frederick onto it. Hand pass back, missed Henry, who's at the top of 50. Gets around Hill. Hand pass inboard to Brodie, who's got a bit of time to snap to keep the Dockers in it. It's across the face. Switkowski dropped chest mark. Probably should have taken it in the end. Was expecting contact, didn't get any. Then the kick from Higgins out of the danger zone. It curves towards the boundary line. I'd say that's deliberate, and it is.
He tried to keep it in, but just the bend on the ball was always going to get over the line.
Cox plays on immediately. He's kick inside 50, a little dicey. Good spoil in the end by Wilkie, and it finds the boundary line. Ball to be thrown in 50 metres out from the Freo goal. They need a goal quickly to keep in this one.
They need 3 goals. They're still alive under Lee Matthews' calculations, but they need one soon. From the throw-in, Marshall taps it down. Stocker, slick hands away to Steele, who runs away from the congestion, kicks forward of the wing. Owens can't quite mark. Pearce keeps his feet. Maybe brought Owens down, and he'll get a free kick, Owens.
Right on, Owens just did enough to hold the ball up. Even without the free kick, he bought time for his teammates to get there for extra pressure.
Owens will kick it inside, attacking 50, looking for a marker. Brought down by Chapman. Gathering Sarong, dangerous kick, turns it over. Wangine Miller emerges to mark.
It's been good today. Been very good. It's a really important player. In only his second year, I think. Second year, mate? Yeah, only his second year. He's become a really important player for him.
So the mark set 45 metres out. Saints already leading by 14 points. Wangine Millera approaches the 50, comes in and misses to the left-hand side. The door is slightly, ever so slightly ajar.
So that 15 points. Still need to kick 3 goals in under 3 minutes. Behind the Saints.
So right up the middle here goes Wilson. As far as he can inside the centre square. Darcy pushed out of it. Marshall probably should have been paid the mark in the end. Ball bounced down to Darcy. Still kicked it out of mid-air towards half forward. No mark taken. Chapman had a fumble. Then a hand pass to Cox. He sees Hughes out wide. Frederick's with him as well. Hughes leaves it for Frederick, who goes to Hughes by foot. Now needs to go inside 50 quickly and find a target. Hasn't been able to all day. Spoiled away from Fife. And St Kilda showing composure again. Sinclair pokes the ball over the top. Owens takes the mark. Right half back for the Saints, and they're home.
Down the line. This one's going to have to go close to the line so they can get it out of bounds.
And that's where all the Saints are pointing the young man towards. He goes a little central towards the wing. Cox over the back. Hand pass inboard to Ryan, who's pushed off his kick. It's a high flat ball inside the centre square. Now a chance for Hill. They're out the back here. If he kicks to Gresham, who should swallow this if it sits for him, it skids on. Hand passes on. He went the kick instead across the face of goal, and then smashing into the behind post is Chapman to force a boundary throw-in.
A strange decision by Gresham, wasn't it?
Really poor decision by Gresham. His teammate on the inside, he saw him there. Should have been a handball over the top, easy running goal.
So a throw in the right forward pocket for the Saints. Closing in on victory. An upset to begin life under Cuddly Ross. Darcy hooks it away towards Brayshaw. Has to apply the tackle on Clark. It's Hunter Clark, and we'll go again Saints fans getting excited. Making some noise here at Docklands. Darcy punches it to the outside. Sarong gathers, gives it away to Ryan. Ryan will kick high towards the wing, looking to find Jackson. He launches at the footy, can't quite take the mark. The Saints are there. Battle, it goes through his legs. Battle in the end will go back in. Switkowski feeds out a handball towards Jackson. And we'll get another ball up on the logo. St Kilda leading by 15 points. They're going to be round one winners.
It's a big win, isn't it? It's a huge win for the Saints.
Darcy taps it down. Sarong off his left, inside 50. No mark taken. Again, Wilkie across the front of the pack, able to rove. Gave it to Cordy, who goes the short pass to Steele. Intercepted there by Hughes, who snaps inside 50 again for the Dockers. No mark taken. And it is a free kick going the way of the Saints. And don't the fans love that? Free kick for Howard, who goes short to Sinclair. No sign of movement this time from the dashing defender. Spins the ball in his hands a couple of times. He comes out wide. Steele takes the mark on his chest, and the Saints fans can suck it in and enjoy it. Over the last 10 seconds or so, Captain with the ball in his hand. Long kick towards the boundary. Darcy at the back, got a fist to it. Siren goes! Ross Lyon announces his return with a remarkable win. Undermanned, but not to be outdone. The Saints win in round one. Marching in, oh, when the Saints go marching in, oh, how I want to be with St Kilda. When the Saints go marching in. The final scores here, 10-7-67 the Saints to 7-10-52 the Dockers. Goal kickers for the Saints, Wood with 2, Gresham with 2, Owens with 2, singles to Vitell, Cordy, Higgins and Philippo. For Fremantle, 2 to Schultz, 1 each to Switkowski, Age, Frederick, Taberner and Tracy.
So Ross gets his revenge as he wins with whatever was left of St Kilda, missing 9 of their best 23, as we've spoken about right throughout the day. They upset the Fremantle Dockers to make it 4 from 4 for the new coaches to begin 2023. Brent Harvey and Bradshaw.
Terrific effort by the Saints, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a fantastic win. It's and you mentioned all the things against them. Sully, we went through pre-game. What was it? Did you say 9 out of their best?
Yeah, best 23.
Wow. Backs against the wall stuff, Sully. Round one. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's terrific, wasn't it? And without taking anything away from St Kilda, Fremantle were disappointing. All the expectation was on them coming into the game. And we spoke about that, the strength of their forward line, the strength of their midfield. And defensively, the Saints just didn't let Freo get on any transition, any run, any flow in their game. And Ross is a fantastic start for his year.
It's good, isn't it? I'm just looking out there now. The boys are exhausted, and so they should be. We said this a lot through the coverage today, that if they can maintain that, they're going to give themselves a small chance. Not only did they maintain it, but they finished off the last quarter so much better.
Yeah.
They played a really interesting style of football where they made Fremantle switch the ball, and for me, switched the ball too much. Fremantle were reluctant, Sully, to go forward.
They were.
To beat that man on the mark that we spoke about, that little kick in on the 45, beat the man on the mark and get the ball in deep, and give Taberner, give Fife, give Jackson a chance, but they just didn't want to do it, and certainly not in the first half. When the game was on the line, they did it a little bit, but it was too little too late.
Yeah. Jackson had that snap in the forward pocket and missed across the face. That was their last score of the game, 13 minutes into the final term. So they did not score for the last 16 minutes or so.
And didn't really look like it.
No, they didn't.
The last 5 goals.
I think you made the call at one stage. You had 7 inside 50s in the first couple of minutes.
Yeah, they did.
And just couldn't capitalise. The Saints just held on. And then conversely, when they got their chance going forward, they brought the ball to ground. And for the first time, they really brought their small forwards into the game.
that was something I actually didn't pick up on, Sully. You were the one that said when Gresham was starting to hit the scoreboard and get a look, and Jack Higgins was getting a look. Owens, Caminiti, they'll bring in the ball to ground, and then the height of the Fremantle defenders. I mean, Pearce is 201, Cox 195, Chapman was down there at 193. They had no chance against these little guys that was big as me and you that were just too nimble for them. So, it was well done. I'm really impressed with what the Saints did, and a little disappointed with what Fremantle served up, like you, Sully.
Was the most impressive thing that you saw from the Saints their defensive organisation? It's been the calling card of Ross Lyon teams, and really that was what we saw. It looked like they'd spent their summer honing their defensive setups.
They did it really well. They got back quickly, and I mean, again, to their credit, Fremantle played into that. Fremantle went laterally back across the ground on a number of occasions. We didn't see any run, no dash, no dare, no handball receives from half back to try and break the lines, and St Kilda did that really well on a number of occasions in the first quarter and a half. A really quick give from a mark just took the man on the mark out of the game, and that transition was exciting for St Kilda.
And their ability to move the ball right throughout the afternoon and evening. I mean, they would fold back and then they would go relatively quickly. Maybe this is a new wrinkle. New Cuddly Ross has added a little bit of offence as well.
Well, it's all got to do with personnel. When you've got Jack Sinclair down there, who's an offensive player who moves the ball really well, you got Nazaya Wanganeen-Malero down there, who is exceptionally quick, done some really good defensive stuff today, but some offense stuff that was outstanding. And then Bradley Hill, who's up off half back, a wing, a little bit of half forward. He's a bit of a utility, but you got them three guys that can move the ball by hand, by foot, and by legs. It makes a huge difference. You've got to utilise those players, and St Kilda certainly did today.
So they're just milling around, waiting to head down into the rooms. When they do, we'll take you down there, Saints fans. Jess Webster will be your eyes inside the rooms. She'll describe all of the emotion down there for the Saints. There's a little bit of celebration going on. Mateus Filippo is hugging people in the crowd, and I'm sure it's his family and friends who have come across to watch him play in his debut and enjoy it with him.
He did quite well too, didn't he?
He did enough, didn't he?
16 touches at 81%. Not a bad game at all.
Him and Owens both showed enough. I know we've seen a bit more of Mitch Owens, but a couple of young players for the Saints. Anthony Caminiti, a little more quiet, still had 9 disposals and
did what he had to do. He competed. Him and Owens up forward. They didn't get a lot of the ball. I thought Owens was quite good, but they just competed. They competed, and in the end, they brought the ball to the ground and did exactly what they had to do. Fremantle had 12 more inside 50s. Yeah. Was it 12 more?
Yeah.
12 more inside 50s too, so that's interesting right there.
Hit outs 19 to 46, sorry Ben. Yeah. In Freo's favour. I mean, uncontested possessions 235 to 282.
Say that again?
235 to 282, so almost 50 more.
Fremantle. Marks. That would have been marks.
So the Saints getting a warm round of applause from the faithful as they head down into the rooms, and so well may they.
I'll sing that song nice and loud, round one, I tell you.
Sure they will.
It's exciting. You go there, they would have had an enormous faith in what they've done over the pre-season. A lot of punters from the outside wouldn't be backing them today, but they would have been coming into this game going, rightio, they're coming to our home turf. They've got to play better to win.
All right, let's take you into the rooms. Jess Webster.
That warm applause from the faithful out at Marvel Stadium out there as continued as the players come into the rooms, led by Captain Jack Steele. Plenty of family and friends have filtered in as well. Such a wonderful energy and atmosphere. There'll be a few players in the middle of the circle. You would imagine, of course, Mateus Filippo, Anthony Caminiti, as the lights have just gone out here in the room. So we're all in the dark at the moment. Someone accidentally flicked off the light switch, but we're back on board. So the lights have come back on. So many staff members on the outside of the circle. So let's have a listen. a little bit subdued in the end, guys. It didn't actually quite get up and about as I thought they would. Maybe it's just business as usual, but either way, they look like a pretty satisfied bunch down here.
Who was that? Who was the player that was singing, "Oh, when the Saints," and they all follow him? Who was that?
I didn't actually catch it. I was, to be honest, I try and just avoid the sports drink, if I'm honest, guys. So didn't quite catch that.
They did give the first gamers or the players playing in their first win a little bit of a bath in the middle as well. So we will hopefully check in with Jack Steele, the captain, when he comes out of a team meeting which they're about to head into with, I'm sure, a very, very happy Ross Lyon. Does it make you change your impressions on what St Kilda can achieve this year, what you've seen today?
No, I don't think so. I mean, they've got a lot of stock to come back in, but they just played with great intensity, didn't they? Great pressure around the ball. I don't think Freo were anywhere near their best. They played in St Kilda's hands. They were a little bit disappointing. Their forward line and their sort of major ball winners forward the ball had little to no impact. But that's, I mean, without taking anything away from St Kilda, they were impressive all day.
What did you make of the efforts of Jade Gresham throughout the afternoon, playing in the midfield predominantly, 18 disposals? How did you see his game over the course of the afternoon?
Yeah, I thought he built into it. I didn't think he was fantastic early, but he's always in the game. When something needs to happen, he's there. He's very lively. He ended up with two goals, 18 possessions. As a small forward, you do that every week. You end up with 44, 45 goals. You end up with a fairly decent year. So he played his part without being the best game I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
But he was certainly important, especially when they didn't have the tall forwards that were going to kick. Let's face it, I don't think Owens or Caminiti were going to kick 5 or 6 today. They would have had to get some really good ball use. So his role was super important to hit the scoreboard. And we said him and Higgins had to hit the scoreboard. Did Higgins get one? He got one, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he got a goal. So they got 3 between them. That's not too bad, but I thought Gresham just worked into the game, and he had a really important last quarter. So he kicked a couple of really good goals.
I mean, low-scoring game too, wasn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
Played into their hands.
Same scoring shots, 17 scoring shots each, so it wasn't huge. 10 goals they only kicked for the game, St Kilda, and he's kicked 2 of them, so he's played his part.
He is the man who leads the song as well.
Oh,
Jake
he's the
Gresham,
one, is he?
He's the one who
got to hand it down to.
When. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it's something that I assume it is something that's sort of handed down like Nathan Lyon.
Yeah, that's why I asked. Yeah.
So Jake Gresham is the man.
This scoreline might even be a little bit flattering for Freo, considering the 2 easy goals they gave up in that second quarter.
Absolutely, they did.
So all of a sudden they've only kicked, arguably 5-10.
And they might have kicked one of those goals. So let's call it 6-10.
Yeah. And that's the major concern that Fremantle fans harbour. Can we kick a score? How do we kick a score? Do we have the forward line to do it? Do we have the method to go inside 50 in a manner that will lead us to kicking a big score?
Well, they're 3 tools. Fife, Taberner, and Jackson. Well, Jackson, you're going to have to name him as a forward, because if he's playing 80% game time, he's playing 70 of that percent up forward at the minute.
So let's look at their output in the end. I mean, in terms of marks, Jackson didn't take one. Tracy didn't take one. Nat Fyfe was able to take 7 marks, a lot of them working up the ground. So, and Taberner finished up with 4 marks for the afternoon.
And what was their goals?
Fyfe, in terms of goals...
He didn't get one, he kicked the point.
No, Fyfe didn't kick a goal. Tracy kicked one and Taberner kicked one. Their other goal kickers were the smalls, really.
You need a handful out of them. You need 5, 6, 7 out of the 3. Jackson had 1 or 2 shots on goal but didn't kick one. Yeah, they needed 4 or 5 out of those guys.
The question about Luke Jackson heading into heading to Fremantle, they've obviously got the ruck covered with Sean Darcy, and then Jackson comes in. We saw him; he did start as an on-baller at one stage, but what he wasn't at Melbourne was a marking forward who kicks goals. So,
and when he did kick his goals, they were in the ruck on the run from a handball receive. It was like that ruck rover position. So you're right; it doesn't really pose a huge threat. Well, you said he didn't take a mark today, did you?
No.
He didn't take a mark. Doesn't pose a huge threat up forward at the minute.
It's a tough one for rucks. Often they're often they play a stronger game when they're the sole ruckman.
Yeah.
When they're not trying to share the role and not splitting their time. It's a really tough position to drift in and out from, energy-wise and concentration-wise. And more often than not, when you see the sole responsibility go to one player, that generally elevates their game, and it could become a bit of a conundrum for Freo, trying to juggle that and get the best out of Jackson, given he's the big recruit they've dragged over.
Well, it's interesting, even with Melbourne, because last night, for instance, Max Gawn was excellent, but Brody Grundy had 13, 14 possessions and snapped a goal, and that was it. And so it's like you're sacrificing Brody Grundy being the dominant force on the field, which he can be, and it's the same applies with Freo.
The interesting one for me, and it really fascinates me because I used to love watching him play, was Fife.
Yeah.
And like when he's nullified down there and he's not having an impact on the game, are they going to be stubborn to say, you're just not a midfielder anymore, we're going with Brayshaw, we're going with these guys? Or when you need to, something happens, Sully, do you chuck him in and go, you can still do what you used to do, but you're more of a forward for us, but we're still going to give you little stints in there.
So I think when they get their balance, they'll feel more comfortable throwing him in to pinch hit. But to be fair, he wasn't in the game at all. He's in between the transition and the opportunity he got from the Fremantle, mids going forward was really poor, and he got caught in between on a number of occasions. So whether he then becomes that deepest forward when they get their ball movement moving and it's coming in quickly, he's going to be really hard to stop. But St Kilda held up and controlled the middle part of that ground really well, allowing the defenders to get back and nullify any impact he had in the air. And then when he tried to come up, he was caught in between no man's land because there's no fluidity with the way Freo were moving the ball.
And as a forward, you're always going to be a byproduct of what happens up the field, no matter what happens, because if the opposition can stifle your ball movement, it's going to be very hard. And St Kilda today, we've seen it. They let him have the ball until halfway and just got numbers fully back. Now, Fife's going to have to take 6 or 7 contested marks to have a real impact on a game.
I think the fascinating thing, too, is we didn't see him in the midfield at all. There wasn't even a 10-minute patch where they said go and go.
And that's probably what I was getting at, mate, is
yeah.
there a stage where you go, okay, the game's in the balance. Can we chuck Fife in here and hopefully something happens? If he's having an impact up forward, of course you'll leave him forward. But when there's no impact, what do you do? Do you say, let's go in there? And then they've got enormous faith, obviously, in Brayshaw and Sarong and these type of guys. So it's hard. And we're not in the 4 walls, so we don't know what's going on.
And they've made it harder to have that break glass in case of emergency, Nat Fife lever pulled into the midfield, because it's kind of going to be a little bit like what we saw today. And I thought they must have, at least internally, admitted they were in a little bit of strife when they put Jackson on ball. So it's kind of like, Jackson and Fife aren't getting involved as forwards. Which one? You can only really then put one of them into the midfield. And
How'd
difficult.
O'Meara go today?
Yeah, you didn't notice him a lot.
No, I didn't.
19 disposals in the end.
How many kicks he have? 6. 6 and 13.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't notice him. I didn't think he had a huge impact on the game at all.
No, he just sort of roamed around. I asked you this question about St Kilda. Does it change your opinion on what Fremantle can achieve this year, coming here and not losing and losing to a pretty weakened St Kilda team?
Not really? Not for me, not just yet. Not in round 1. They've travelled to Melbourne. They've played an undermanned St Kilda. Like I said, everybody would have picked Fremantle in their tipping and think they're going to be a top 4 team. They'll win majority of the games at Perth Stadium. Optus, is it? Optus Stadium?
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. And they'll go back and they'll dissect this now to the nth degree, and they'll come out bigger and better. Unfortunately, Kanga's playing next week, so it's going to be interesting to see how they go going forward, because there is the expectation. That's the hard part. The Pies have got it this year. Now, they played fantastic on Friday night, but no expectation on them last year. They go from 17th to playing in the prelim. There's expectation on them this year, so that's the difference.
Oh, absolutely, and worse than picking them in your tipping, gents, is picking them in your survivor tipping, which Corbin Middlemass and I are doing on Corbin and Ben at the moment, and I went with Freo as my certainty, and they've let me down.
No.
So for back-to-back years, I'm out in round 1, which I think we've halved the competition. A lot of people had Freo.
I reckon you're spot on there. I don't reckon you'll be on your own there.
No, so that is very, very deflating. I don't think we're too far away from chatting to Jack Steele, hopefully, here on this post-game. What do the coaches say at this point?
The Saints would be just ecstatic. And you saw Ross's reaction walking off the ground. He was really enjoying it, waving to the crowd, and he was actually beaming, like he was really enjoying it. So, he'd be saying to the boys to revel in it, enjoy the feeling. Notwithstanding, there's certainly a few things we can work on, and come ready to do that tomorrow. But for now, enjoy the win. And for Freo, she's a long flight home, isn't it?
It is. When you go to Perth and you lose, it's a terrible flight home. So I can only imagine coming to Melbourne and doing the reverse. It's exactly the same. But I think he'll be a little bit upbeat too, because you don't want to be punching them up in round one and then going home with no confidence at all. So you'll be saying, we've got a lot to work on. Absolutely. We've seen that today. But we've got another opportunity next week.
I did a Fremantle game over East and was on the same flight as the Dockers on the way home when they were going through the rebuild. And Ross Lyon would walk up and down the aisles holding his laptop in his hand, coding the game, and just people would have their big headphones on and just sort of flick them off and say, "Here, Boomer. Here, Sylvie, just look at this.
Have a look at this.
Have a look at this," and then just sort of wander back to the front of the plane. I was frightened. I didn't play. I thought I was worried I was next. So, not a pleasant flight for Fremantle back home. We will, once we hear from Jack Steele, we'll roll through some of the other issues out of week one of this AFL season. It's been a great round of footy, 23,429. So I'm not sure if that tips us over the 400,000 mark that will see us break the all-time record in terms of attendance for a round of football. But 0437 774 774 is the number. I particularly love to hear from you if you're an up-and-about Saints fan or if you're a despondent Freo faithful. What did you think of that? 0437 774 774. Just a couple more minutes, Jess Webster tells us. I don't know how many times Ross can say to them, soak it all in and recover well. And we'll get back to work on Tuesday. So just repeating, St Kilda 10-7-67 over Fremantle, 7-10-52. Some of the numbers out of the game that jump off the page. Fremantle with more of the footy, 437 disposals to St Kilda, 393. Fremantle had 136 marks to St Kilda's 87. The clearances, St Kilda won 35-29. Inside 50s, Fremantle 53-45. Leading ball winners, Brad Crouch with 30, Jack Steele with 28, Burns with 27, Sinclair 26